Are you tired of boring, ordinary swimwear?
Yeah.
Introducing banana hammocks. Why settle for a swim trunk when you can embrace the full fruit experience? Our banana hammocks come in a variety of sizes, whether you're packing a small snack or a whole bunch. Made from 100% stretchy spandex, these hammocks will cradle your assets like a hammock on a tropical beach. And with our patented peel-away design, you'll be the talk of the pool party. Perfect for lounging, swimming, or just turning heads. Wear them at the beach, by the pool, or anywhere you want to make a statement. Just remember, confidence is key, and a little bit of fruitiness never hurt anyone. Order now and get a free bottle of our exclusive Banana Boat sunscreen. Protect your skin while flaunting your fruit. Banana hammocks, because life's too short for boring swimwear.
Amen. Wow, what a great sponsor. I'm really glad they decided to hop onto the podcast this week. You know, we've had our eyes peeled. A little banana joke for you there.
What's their discount code?
Oh, yeah. Do we have a code for them, Russ?
Yes, we do.
Let's hear it.
JSG, cast your bottoms off.
Hey!
Hey!
There we go.
I thought it would be may contain nuts.
Yeah.
I would have been a good one, too.
Potassium yum.
Ooh.
There's no may about it. This podcast definitely contains nuts.
That is true. That is true. Wow. And this podcast, of course, being episode 125 of Just Some Gamers. Folks, welcome on in. Those of you in the live stream today, thank you for hopping in. Look forward to forgetting you exist and ignoring your questions as the podcast goes on. But hey, we appreciate you. Those of you listening to us in the future, I hopefully this episode got put out in a decent amount of time. Life's been lifing.
Has 124 been released yet?
It's going to be tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, I had we can get into that in a minute when we go around, you know, what's going on and stuff. But I mean, I was gone for like 5 days, and it's just like stuff happens, you know.
It does.
We'll get it. We'll get it. But yeah, at some point between now and the year 2035, I promise you, this episode will go live.
What would be funny is if you timed them. So like next year is 2025. So we just release an episode a year, which seemed to be our pattern previously.
For a while. Yeah. I like this a lot. Yeah. 125, 2025, 126. And we should make, with this plan in mind, like we need to make them just like not great episodes either. Like the subject matter needs to be awful.
Are they great episodes to begin with?
No, but I think we could do worse. You know what I mean? Like I really think if we dug deep,
that's true.
We could find a way to be worse at this.
Like that one episode where we were in the same room. That one was
pretty bad. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Or when we used to stream over PSN Network.
Yep. Those were okay. Bad. No, those were pretty bad.
You used to be able to do podcasts over PSN Network.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
that was how we started.
That was the start, man. Is we'd get in a party in PlayStation and just stream from the PlayStation with our Bluetooth headphones, right? And audio quality was awful. And then we just take the VOD off of Twitch and edit it from there. We did that the first like 20 something episodes like that.
He says but what he means is he took it off of Twitch.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, Russ does stuff.
Nothing. I do nothing.
You do the ad read.
Just a commercial. That's it.
Yeah. He's just a commercial.
I'm the ugly face that drives away our viewers.
Well, speaking of that, Russ, it's too late for that really cool intro. It's the effervescent Russell. Hey, man. Hey.
It's the venerable ELMMERFUDD. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. I'm doing quite well. Had the day off, just running errands like crazy, but I gotta say, it's hoodie weather up here. So like I was floating on cloud nine. I woke up this morning and I was like, it might be too cold to get out of bed. And I think I wept.
I missed that.
Yes.
In my heart of hearts.
I know. Well, when you get that though, people's mattresses freeze and their fish die. So
in that order.
Is that a thing?
For you?
Up there?
No, down for you. Last time it like froze down there, didn't like everyone's memory foam mattresses freeze up and their fish died? And
I don't know. I mean, ours is memory foam and it was fine.
Okay.
Hard to remember.
No, I mean, it did, like, because the power was out, so it did freeze in the house. We spent most of the time in bed, so. Hey.
Keeping yourselves warm. Body heat works better when you hate each other. Anyway, let's
It was
go
like-
around the horn here.
On that note,
Oh,
Joining us for our third episode of the JSG Game Club for Mass Effect 3, we have Bluelazor.
hello.
Hello, how art thou?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good.
Good. Yeah, that was, yeah.
Wow, that was.
I mean,
the
I
banter.
have a damaged wrist, but other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, did you crash? What happened to your wrist?
I was moving something at work, and I grabbed onto it at just the right angle where my wrist just twisted. And so
Nice.
now I have this lovely brace on my arm to keep in place while it heals.
Oh, so in the
It's
future,
great.
don't do that.
at least it wasn't in your back.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is true.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah,
You're always supposed to lift with your back and not with your knees, right?
correct.
Yep, got to put your crotch into it.
Got to put the banana hammock into it. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I'd rather tear my crotch than my wrist. I'll say that right now.
So here's the question, Blue. Did you have to report it since you got hurt at work?
I did, but they did nothing about it because they
Great.
couldn't. There's
Perfect.
no way to prove that it actually happened at work because there were no witnesses and it was in a blind spot where the cameras wouldn't see it. So
Real convenient. I think
it
you're up to
was
some
my
shady
word
stuff
against
then.
theirs.
You
Yeah.
knew what was going on. Why don't you be real and honest with us then? What were you really doing?
I was
I
doing my
don't want to
job.
know what you were really doing.
Blue, don't say nothing. If you have to get
Yeah.
a lawyer, this could
Were
be
you
used
cutting
against
lines
you.
of coke with the credit card again, Ashley? We back at this again? She can't stay away, folks. Speaking of not being able to stay away, though, folks, it's Bill Nye's bow tie. I can't stay away from his
Oh,
face.
It's me. Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah,
buddy.
you guys can all see my face now.
I know it's great. I mean, I knew what you looked like, but it's
So,
nice to have an update.
Yeah, unlike you breaking into Sweatherweather, we had a record high heat where I live today. It was 103 degrees.
Oh,
Crap.
Yep.
Gross.
Where do
So,
you live? What state are you in?
So much for fall, I guess.
yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's been fun. But yeah, glad to be here. Glad to talk Mass Effect.
Amen,
always fun.
dude. Always a great subject.
No,
I'm excited
glad
to
be
hear
here
your
as the other
inputs.
person.
Yeah. She's not on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of she's that are on this podcast, it's Runga, RNGGator. What's up, baby?
What?
He just called you a woman.
That's it. I'm out.
You're coming out. Let's
Can
go,
I add-
dude. Congratulations.
Can I add music and leave?
Yeah. Wrong podcast.
No banana hammocks for you, Gator.
I've been on so many lately. I don't remember them anymore. They're all running together.
Yeah, I hear
But
you.
no, I'm doing good. No, everything is fine.
Good, dude. You surviving all
Everything
the...
is awesome.
Everything is cool. How's all the shit with the storms going on over by you? Or is that blown
Where I was
past
at,
you?
we got wind and rain.
Oh,
that was
good.
it for about 4 hours, and then we didn't get what the mountains got. Thank God, but I hate it for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Are you
It's
in?
it's still a disaster in Western North Carolina right now.
Oh,
it's-
you're in
it's-
North Carolina? Yeah, bud.
Yeah, there's still people that are stuck up on the mountain that they can't get to. I think our death toll was in the 80 some range now, and it's going to keep climbing.
Jeez.
So there's cities wiped out, and
Golly.
God knows how long it's going to take to rebuild them and just get power back up there.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah,
Whew. Well, speaking of getting wiped out, he shaved his beard, folks. I did it. I pulled it out. It's Real Leper.
You're supposed to keep
Greetings
it
and
in.
salutations, my linguinis.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sorry, that was maybe it's a little too soon to be getting in character.
Was that a
That's Craig
Senor
Shepard.
Card Gauge reference?
Yes, it was. Because he was the inspiration for the look of the shepherd that I played for this
Excellent.
club playthrough.
Excellent.
Yep. It just so happens to look like a lot of other strange animation characters too.
This is very true. Yeah, we had quite the list going. What was it? The boss from The Incredibles?
From The Incredibles,
The little short guy that I'm not happy, Bob.
Oh.
Not happy.
Not happy.
Looks just like that guy.
I think someone threw out Lord
God, what's his name?
Farquaad
I've
at
seen
one
him at Comic
point.
Con.
Lord Farquaad, yep. Agent Smith.
Wallace Shawn.
Yes. Agent Smith from The Matrix.
There's a lot of disparity
Weaving, not
between
bad.
some of these characters, though.
And
Well, that's what makes it weird is it somehow looks like all of them.
Yeah, and I also realized that he also has a bit of a resemblance to a certain General William T. Sherman, which I didn't realize until after I spent 2 games throwing Incinerate around everywhere.
Yeah, I mean
It's quite fitting.
on character, yes, indeed, sir. You role play what you role play, yes.
I have no idea who General Sherman is. I've got to look him up.
So you know,
You
like
don't
sherbet
know
ice cream?
William.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing like that.
That's the guy?
It's not
No?
Described him perfectly, Fudd. Perfectly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh,
March
he was the
this-
guy
just
that was
an ice cream
responsible
truck.
for burning Atlanta. Right?
Yes.
That was the guy? Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's funny. Okay. Only 20 minutes late to the joke. All right. Cool.
Yeah, you did it, buddy.
I got there eventually, though.
Yep.
I'm proud.
That's all that matters in the end.
For all the people that are stupid like me, General Sherman is the guy during the Civil War that was responsible for burning Atlanta. That's why the incendiary rounds are funny.
And Savannah.
And Savannah.
It's almost good as you learning how to mute a channel in Discord before the show.
I've already forgotten how to do that.
It is effort. Well, I mean, let's just dive in, right?
Let's.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Because I know, again, as a reminder to anyone who maybe has not listened to the previous episodes, it is Russell's first time playing through Mass Effect. It is Bluelazor's first time playing through Mass Effect, and I believe everyone else has played it. But Real Leper, it's been like literal an insane amount of years since you last played it. So it's
At least a
almost
decade,
fresh.
yeah.
Yeah. So we're kind of spread all over the galaxy here with our past experience with the game, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think the biggest spot I want to start at, right, is we spent a lot of time in Mass Effect 1 talking about how clunky it felt, how old it was. Mass Effect 2, how it improved on some things, right, but some things still felt a little off. And something that was pretty cool in the Mass Effect channel in the Discord was this conversation started before the podcast when people started playing the game. Is this conversation of Mass Effect 3 feeling like a legit, well put together action cover based RPG? Let's I guess start there where the difference between 2 to 3 in just the gameplay mechanics and the feel of it.
Well, for me, I'll start off.
Yeah,
Why not?
go for it.
I'll contribute something to the show, maybe. In 2, it kind of felt they were trying to move in a direction where the cover felt natural,
Mm-hmm.
but it was kind of just a bunch of hallways and then like weird little things, right? So the cover didn't feel natural. There wasn't a lot of it in some situations. Like sometimes you just come around a hallway and it's like, there's a bunch of guys and this is a cover shooter. There's nothing for me to hide behind. Whereas Mass Effect 3, the way that they allowed you to move from cover to cover, you had a lot of options. You also weren't limited to the cover in certain situations. I played Soldier. They're a little more tanky, so I could come out of cover and just like come around the corner and just like and unload on people. And I felt like the superhero that they always kind of portrayed Shepard to be. Whereas in 2 and in 1, it just didn't feel quite right. In fact, 1 actually felt better than 2 to me in the cover mechanics. Because in 1, you were like locked in the cover, and there was cover everywhere, and that was what it was meant to be. It didn't make a lot of sense in the battlefield, but there was always cover. in 2, you were supposed to have cover, but sometimes there were situations where you just didn't. And it's like, I died a lot in 2 because I'd come around the corner and there's 30 guys and I'm like, there's nowhere for me to go. And now I'm dead. And so, like, and I don't know, maybe it was because I was playing Biotic and I just wasn't playing it right. Could have been that. Could have been me. But 3 just felt really, really good. I felt like a super soldier running through and gunning, and everything felt really good. So that's the way it was for me. It was almost perfect in my mind.
Ooh, I like
So,
that.
3.
In summary, from what I'm getting of what Russell is saying, is it just boiled down to level design. The third one actually had more cover while the second one didn't. So it's not really game mechanics, but the design of the level.
Well,
There
on
were a
top
lot
of
of
that,
Am I getting that right?
yeah.
I feel like there were a lot of hallways in 2.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's level
Instead
design.
of- yeah.
Level
Yeah, there's
design
more
and
open
gameplay
areas
mechanics.
in 3
Yeah.
that it works better too. And the first one that came to mind to me is the academy where you rescue the biotic kids.
Yeah.
Where,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah,
like
oh,
really
yeah.
open areas in that level, but you know, it's
Yeah.
well designed and the mechanics suit the cover mechanics are well suited for it, and it doesn't feel like you're just trapped in hallways the whole time. I think
Right.
for me, the one thing about 3 that really makes it the best gameplay wise for me, and sort of like what you said, Russell, is that it's the end of the trilogy, it's the big finale. You've been building your team up this whole time. Is that it really leans into like the power fantasy thing, where it's like
Right.
even at like the start of the game, like you have pretty good abilities. You know, like you can like wreck like groups of enemies. You know, as long as they're not like harder enemies. Like you can wreck basic enemies pretty easily, even at the start of the game. Like, you know, it just really lets you like lean into your abilities or powers if you're biotic. And I think the 3 did the best job with ammo types. Like, I think ammo types had the biggest impact in 3.
Yeah.
Where, like,
Yeah.
you know, if you're really paying attention and switching ammo types, like, you can shred certain enemies like at certain
yeah.
times and stuff. If you
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, focus your abilities and powers at the right time. So yeah, like I think 3 definitely was like the peak of, you know, refining the game mechanics from 2.
Yeah, and I
Well,
think they
and
did a
I
good
like-
job with sorry, Russ, but I think they did a good job with in the original release. Sadly, it didn't come with the Legendary Edition, but there was the multiplayer aspect, right? So I feel like that kind of pushed them to refine how the cover worked, mechanics, and kind of how combat worked with, you know, multiplayer in mind. So that was a smooth experience, which helped us a ton in the campaign. But like, it was so smooth. It felt like a lot of if anyone played like Gears of War PvP back in the day, if you got really good at like the sliding cover to cover and bouncing around everywhere. I did a couple missions where I was like, I'm going to play this mission lore accurate Shepard, right? And so I'd show up with just the assault rifle. I played soldier, so just the assault rifle. So my power recharge rate was like negative, you know, 50% or something. So it was all, you know, my concussive shot was always there, and I would just like wall bounce like a maniac through the whole level and just grenade and like the whole mission be done in 5 minutes, and you're like I couldn't do every mission like that, but like the ability to just buttery smooth just fly, you know, cover to cover, and just that power fantasy just felt so good.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like
I
when-
loved
when I-
buttery. Sorry, Gator, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Finish. Go
It
ahead.
was like, I've been playing an infiltrator the whole time.
Yeah.
It was actually
Same.
it really helped me a lot to actually just seamlessly go from cover to cover to cover to cover. But there's still some times where I find myself still needing to use like the tactical cloak, which I guess partway through number 3, I actually remembered I had it. I think I used it like once or twice in the first one, and I might have like put some points towards it in 2, but I don't remember ever using it.
Mhm.
Yeah, my very first run of Mass Effect 2 and 3, I played Infiltrator, and the cloak is not very useful. There's so few scenarios and situations in the game where you can really take advantage of it.
Well, when you got the dudes with the shields, that was usually where I wound up having to do the cloak.
Yeah.
Just
See,
sneak around behind them.
up until the
cap 'em.
point that you get the Black Widow, and then you can just shoot through the shields and it doesn't matter.
Oh yes.
What is this cloak you speak of?
You can go invisible.
Yeah, it's like an invisibility.
Oh,
Yeah,
like
it's one of the
temporary.
infiltrator class powers.
So I played
interesting.
Infiltrator, but when I'd meet the guys with the shields, I'd shoot right through the hole and just destroy them
Yeah.
because I was using disruptor ammo.
Oh
And that
yeah.
disruptor ammo on Cerberus would shred Cerberus people because it would electrify them and shock them, and then they couldn't do nothing. And I played Infiltrator, but played it like Soldier. There were so many times I never used cover. I just stood in the middle of the room and just wiped everybody out. I'm like, you're not hurting me. You know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm taking every one of you down. I'm a god right now.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
think
Commander
one-
Shepard.
Exactly.
one thing I did
Yeah.
in 3 that ended up being a really good combo with Infiltrator is I was the Infiltrator class, but I used the Matlock assault rifle, like the single shot, like
Ooh.
high power assault rifle.
Mhm.
Because like then like you're really accurate. You can like shoot through like weak points and stuff, but you still get all the ammo choices of Infiltrator. You get all the tech abilities. You get the slowdown time thing.
Oh, adrenaline
So-
rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just quit
so
using assault
Infiltrator
rifles.
gets the adrenaline rush too? Because I think Soldier gets the
No.
adrenaline rush.
It's
No,
not
Infiltrator doesn't
adrenaline
give you-
rush.
yeah.
It's like a different time slowdown thing
Oh, okay.
specifically, if I'm remembering right.
What's
I
in-
liked while we're talking. Oh,
No.
It's
I
fine.
cut you off last time. Yeah, you go, baby.
I
I'll
like.
cut him off this time.
I'm just teasing.
So anyway,
I like that there was customizability. You keep every time you do that, it sets me back, man. Like I'm forgetting what I need to talk about. It was. I like that you could customize your Shepherd. So you could take abilities like as you unlock different powers, because there was it seemed like there was a loyalty thing as you got to know and earn the loyalty of specific crew members. I don't know if the rest of you are aware of this because I'm getting some blank stares. You could unlock their ability, and when you went to the med bay, you could then add that in your tray of powers and abilities that you could use. So I ended up taking one that strips the shielding off of people, because I hated when I'd come up against somebody with a shield.
oh yeah.
That was just the worst for me because you got to pump so much ammo into them to strip through that shield. So I took the ability. I think Tolly has it originally, and you could just strip the shield off of people and then just unload into them as a soldier, and it was amazing. So I like the customizability where you could add other powers and abilities that you normally wouldn't have access to.
Yeah. Well, speaking of customization, though, the very in-depth, whether you like, either way, I'd like to hear how people liked it, but the customization of your weapon loadout with attachments and depending on how much you carried, it could mess up cooldown times on your weapons and your abilities and whatnot. How did we all feel about that?
Yeah, that was fun. I would always spec my attachments for minimum weight so I could boost my ability recharges as much as possible and stuff.
Same.
That was always a lot of fun. Yeah, the customization, I think it was much more streamlined compared to 1 especially, and then 2 where I think you could pick your weapon and you could pick your armor bits, but that was about it, if I'm remembering right.
I feel like 1 had more customization than 2.
It
simply
did,
because
but it was
2 you
more-
couldn't change your armor unless you purchase different armor
and in
sets.
1 it was more in the very CRPG sense where it's
Right.
equip this thing in a slot and you get 2% or whatever.
Right.
Right.
And then you have to hunt around the map for the better version, and you really had to dig into menus to deal with it, and there wasn't a good way to organize what enhancements you had picked up and stuff. There wasn't a good inventory management in 1. That was always the biggest thing that drove me nuts in
Oh
it.
yeah. There's just a
Um,
million of
I'm going
It's
to
everything.
freeze it
you
all
would just
over
have
again.
a list
Yes,
of shit
yes.
and you didn't even know what you had
Yeah.
to
Exactly,
upgrade your
yeah.
stuff with. Whereas in 3 it was I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same thing, but it was just presented in such a much more streamlined way.
I like that
Yeah,
it
you
let
got-
you choose at the beginning of every mission. Although
Yeah.
I wish you could have upgraded in that menu and changed your armor, because it
Yes.
was inevitable that I would get into the mission and go, crap, I forgot that between missions I needed to go down there, upgrade my weapons, or change out the armor piece that I just got, and I would be like, okay, I need to do it after this mission, and I would forget.
There,
for
Yeah.
see,
5
I would
missions
do
in a
that,
row.
and then I would quit, and then go back to the menu and restart so that I could go back into the ship and get all my shit back and set up how I needed it to be.
I could have done that. I didn't have a hard enough time with it to be like, there's no way I can get past this level unless I do it. So I was like, whatever. I'll remember when I go back, and then I'd forget.
Well, question specifically for Blue, right?
Yeah.
To get you involved, right? Is, going back and watching some of your playthrough. We're all talking about customization and picking and choosing armor and stuff. I feel like you literally just used the default everything the whole game. Is this true?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I
thought
didn't customize that much. I figured out, what game style worked for me, and I was like, I guess I'm just doing something right. So I never messed with my armor. I still had the best basic one the entire time. And
I mean, it's classic.
I didn't die that much, so I guess I was doing okay.
I feel like the armor changes are so minimal. I mostly did it for looks because I was like, there was a certain look. Like I was like, oh, that's cooler. So I'd like go and play with the colors, and I'd go and like, okay, I want Shepard to look awesome.
Yeah,
I never quite got him there. The helmets were mostly the thing. Their helmets were just more full helmets. More full helmets, or just allow me to turn the helmet off, because some of them were just like, why is only like part of his face covered?
Yeah,
what is happening here? Like, I want to see Shepard's face, but you got some goofy looking head accessories here.
You get like visors, and they just didn't look right.
I took
I
the
bet
cut.
They would have looked great on mine.
Oh yeah, just to cover yours up, please.
No.
Your Shepard gets a special, it's just a
Cannot
paper
cover
bag.
Beauty.
Just cover the lips. The lips. Just cover the lips.
No.
There is no covering the lips.
No, those lips will
Lips
burn
are
through
There's no
anything.
iconic.
material
You can't
strong
do that.
enough to contain the lips.
There is no containing her lips.
But yeah, I just took the cut and just never wore a helmet. And I was like, yeah, I'll just, like, I'm missing out on a 5% boost to something, but I look great and everything. I was like, yeah, I'll just never wear a helmet. That's okay.
Don't worry. Don't worry. The enemies are like stormtroopers. They can't hit you in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The thing
basically.
that cracked me up, though, is at the beginning, of the game, you get to choose an ability. And I went with armor-piercing rounds. And I remember the last time I'd played Mass Effect 3, the Cerberus guys with the with the big shields just was a pain in my ass. And with the armor-piercing rounds, you literally could just shoot them in the shield and they die. It was just like, it was like no difference. And I was like, well, all right, Cerberus, you're nothing now. It was awesome.
Yeah. Paper mache.
Yeah.
That one was basically my default. I would just go to that all the time.
Oh, 100%. It was useful for everything.
I just threw a lot of grenades.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Incinerate.
Yeah.
Incinerate all the things.
Yeah, I only used an assault rifle, but I'd put a shotgun and a pistol just so in cutscenes I had more weapons on my on my person, so it looked better, But I don't think I used any of those weapons ever the entire playthrough.
I only used assault and the sniper rifle. I'm like, I kind of should have gone to missions with just those two.
Yeah,
because I never used the others.
How was sniping in Mass? I don't think I've ever actually sniped in Mass Effect 3.
I liked the sniping in it. It was very easy to get headshots.
Oh, good.
I
In
really
1 it
liked
was
it. It was
tough,
very
and 2 was a
smooth.
little better.
Yeah,
I
it was
think
really
it
good in 3.
Yeah, sniping in 3 is a joy.
Ooh.
I think it depended on the gun for me. There was the Geth sniper, which
Oh yeah.
I really like the sound. I really like the way it felt, but it had that kind of slow, like you would pull the trigger and it would kind of boom, which was cool. But by the time it actually fired, the people were no longer in my sights and had moved. And so that one was a little irritating, but I had like the the Cerberus sniper. It was a little bit lower power.
Yeah.
But it fired. You could fire real quickly.
The 3-round burst one, yeah.
Yeah. I mostly used that for not the 3-round burst one. It was a sniper rifle, so it had like a single shot, but you could fire it quickly.
There is a 3-round burst sniper rifle in the game.
Okay.
It's super goofy.
Was it the Incisor?
Yeah, I think I used it once and decided I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I think I just kind of picked. Oh gosh, I don't remember the name. I think I just picked one of like the kind of the early starter ones and just kept upgrading that one. This is like I was after picking up the Black Widow wife, the Black Widow rifle,
Yeah, the rifle.
or the Coecto
The
Widow
Shield.
rifle.
Yes, the anti-tank rifle. In the second one, I was really looking forward to picking that up again in the third one, but then it just slowed down the power recharge way too much. And I don't know if you're picking up a pattern here, but I really enjoyed setting people on fire this playthrough.
Yeah, burninating the
That's
countryside.
fine.
Yeah,
It really, like,
Burning it
especially
to
in
the
3,
people.
the way they would react when you burn them, it was like,
oh,
because I used
screams.
incendiary shots on my assault rifle, and I would just fire everywhere, and it was great. And they would be like running around, and they'd fall on the ground, and they're still on fire, and it was like, yeah, that's right.
I enjoyed
What you
it.
get for
I
being
know
Cerberus.
for my run of 3, my latest run, I played Vanguard, which is like the close range weapons biotic class. So you're like constantly like jumping on top of guys with like shotguns and SMGs and stuff. And in that one, like having weapons to switch between definitely is really helpful because like you want like the shotgun for like the really high like heavy attacks, you know, for armored enemies and stuff. But then if you need to deal with a group or like need to deal with some at range, you have like a pistol or an SMG that you can like, or like need to like burn through shields or armor or whatever. Yeah, so like the weapon switching for 3 and the Vanguard class definitely was like the smoothest and most fun, where like you could just like be throwing off like crazy combos of biotic powers and weapons and shit, and a lot of
I
fun.
do wish, I wish there was a button press to switch weapons instead of having to go to the radial menu. every time.
Yeah. I think you can on PC. You can like use like the number keys to like assign weapons.
Sure.
I always play it on a controller, but I never did that.
same.
But yeah, you know, it kind of does like slow it down a tiny bit. But yeah, I think that was like 2 and 3 were definitely like really good for that with the Vanguard class, where weapon swapping is like really straightforward and really easy.
I
love
really
the,
think.
I love the
gameplay-
cryo ammo. That was my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I loved
Oh,
like when I
yes.
fought Cerberus, it was disruptor, so they would get shocked and they couldn't fight me.
Oh,
when
that's
I fought
fun.
other classes, I would go to cryo, like the organic people you would fight and stuff. I would go to like Gath or whatever. I would freeze them because it'd slow them down and just watch them turn into a big ball of ice and then shatter and blood go everywhere. You just see a big red. I was
Yeah.
like, this is great.
No
that's-
one's
See, I was the
recognizing that
opposite.
buddy.
I was the opposite. I used disruptor on anything that was synthetic, and then I used my incendiary on everything that was organic because I loved watching them
Well,
run around.
I didn't have incendiary this playthrough. I had cryo and disruptor. That's what I had.
Yeah.
So,
Well, before we get into like, you know, some squad changes, right? And story points and whatnot, we mentioned during gameplay mechanics and whatnot changes how, you know, Mass Effect 2 was a lot of like copy paste, you know, areas you're fighting in with boxes everywhere and the same thing.
No.
Mass Effect 3, personally, obviously their ability to make there, you know, there's a few things here and there that are the same. Like, for some reason, every alien race uses the same ladder, which was interesting. But like, you know, most everywhere you fought felt different and fresh, and
It did.
like it really felt alive and real, and I really dug that.
See, this was the thing that I was thinking while I was playing it, and that's why I say it's almost perfect.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that they're missing to make it perfect is different pathways and different ways that you could take buildings. So if you could open it up a little bit more. So instead of having to go down a specific hallway to get to a specific point, and then kind of have the arena, right, where you're fighting people, if you could have it, and a lot of games do it now, right? They've opened that up and allowed you. Assassin's Creed is one that I think of, where they kind of opened up the way that you can interact with the level. And if they could do that with Mass Effect, I think they're working on Mass Effect 4, right? Where you're assaulting a specific point and you have your choice of how you're going to get there and what you're going to do to get there. I think that could open it up. I mean, because you got things like the Infiltrator, things like that, where you kind of like, it would be better. It would be a better class if like you could get like a sniping point, right? If you could
would be
get
nice.
high up, and you could set up lanes of fire and things like that. That's the only way that I think of that they could improve it. But Mass Effect 3, they did such a good job, and it's such a big leap, in my opinion, from 1 and 2, where you had a lot of recycled environments.
Yeah.
You had a lot of hallways and things where they were trying to compress the amount of space that they were using.
I would definitely say, like, for the future of Mass Effect, I'm sure that is definitely going to be a direction they go. I'd say a lot of that is just the limitation of games at the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's how every third-person shooter game in the Xbox 360 PS3 era was. Is like they were very limited in scope, and and that's why we joke and ironically call them hallway shooters now, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, you just always take the same path and just like move cover to cover down a hallway.
I did like the way that they introduced environmental hazards or obstacles. Like occasionally you would come to a spot where you would jump over a gap. And
I love that. Yeah.
It felt good.
Every time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That was just that comment right there. I'm done.
I disagree. I thought those were like, you like hold X and press forward on the stick and that was it. Like, have you ever fell off of one of those? It's like,
no.
Oh yeah, you do a cool leap through the air, and it's like, okay, it could just be a cutscene or whatever. It's like,
I think
it's a new animation they show you.
There's a couple of times where I actually had to find. It's like I had to go back and forth to find the right spot to actually do the jump.
Yeah.
Like, where's the blue arrow? Where is
but
it?
It felt like good when you immediately went to it, and you're like, whoa, and you don't
like,
even really see the blue arrow, and you're
at
like,
the time that was cool. That like, oh yeah, here's like you can jump now. Versus like you look back on that 10 years later, and you're like, yeah, that's kind of really lame and cheesy.
Yeah. Because you weren't going to fall off. You could walk up to the edge. You wouldn't.
Yeah, you could just walk up the edge and just like walk cycle into the wall, the invisible wall forever.
It was the variety of movement that it introduced.
Sure.
It made it feel more organic. It brought me
and
further
epic
into the world.
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah.
I
got excited. Legit, I got giddy every time I saw a jump arrow. It's maybe dumb,
too.
but I was like, "Yay!" Especially with explosions.
Are we getting to the? Hold on. Are we getting to the dumb mechanics of Mass Effect 3 part of the discussion now? Because I have one.
All right, sure, let's do it.
Every single time, and I'm sure you guys will all immediately agree with me on this, is whenever you have to turn in a side quest on the Citadel, you just walk around for literal hours of the game spent walking around just looking for the person to talk to turn the quest in, because there is no or looking for the person to talk to get the quest even. Where it's like every single time between missions I would spend probably an hour on the Citadel either trying to find the person to turn in a side quest or walking through every single corner of every single floor to make sure that there's not a new person that I can talk to pick up a quest.
Or you just walk by and all of a sudden get a quest and you wouldn't.
Yeah, or you just happen to walk by and walk you into it.
Just dropped on some conversation. It's like, oh, you got a new thing.
And that's the thing is if you skipped it, it like I think it would eventually like you get like an email or something being like, oh hey, go drop this thing off at this guy at the store or whatever. Like it would eventually tell you, but. I think it was trying to do the thing where it was like being organic with the world and how you picked up, information to go explore and go find side quests, but it just turned into like absolute tedium of walking around the same level 5 times
Shepard
every
the
hour.
Stalker.
Yeah. Is it you? Hello?
Do you have something new to tell me? No? Okay, fuck off.
Basically.
But at the same time, how much better was the map in Mass Effect 3 than it was in 1 or 2?
Yes, the Citadel is an awesome hub in 3.
Yeah,
sure.
And at least it told you. It was like, hey, here's this person in this
exactly.
area.
That's what I would use. I would pull up I'd hit select and pull up the map and the LB, RB to go through each floor and go, is there anybody on this floor I need to go talk to right now?
Yeah.
I still spend hours running around.
Oh, you spend a lot of time on the Citadel.
See,
At
I
least I
think
was
it
in the
would tell
general
you
area.
that it would tell you that if you had something to turn in, it wouldn't tell
Yeah.
you if you had a new one.
No.
Well,
that
that's
would
the
be
thing.
no,
Yeah,
available.
is the journal like the quest log itself was just so bad. Like Mass Effect 1, if you clicked on a quest, there'd be a sub thing that pop up that tell you more information. In Mass Effect 2, did you just talk about that, Russ?
No.
Okay,
I
but
just
yeah.
have something else to say.
In Mass Effect 2, same thing. You could click on the quest. It'd give you the brief description. If you clicked on it, it'd tell you where to go, who to talk to, and everything. Mass Effect 3, I can't tell you how many quests.
Oh yeah, I know. That
would
was
just
real
like
bad.
it would just be like,
Yeah.
go talk to Jeremy. What?
Yeah.
Who the fuck
What?
is Jeremy?
Where's Jeremy? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a few times where it's like I would jump onto the Spectre requisition terminal, on the Normandy, and they'd have some things at the bottom that was like obviously like side quest items. I'd just be sitting there going, "What are these for?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
you
then
have
it was
to
like,
look
"Oh,
for, like, you
they're
didn't
at
find,
the Citadel." Okay.
yeah, because you didn't find it in a mission, you could purchase it from the Spectre terminal to complete your side quest. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
Oh,
sometimes
wait,
I
that's a
didn't
real
even pick
thing?
up the side quest.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
If you
Yeah,
missed
you're-
something in a side quest, yeah, you could
On
still
the
complete it.
floor across from
come on.
Udina's office, your Spectre terminal, you could go in there and
Yeah.
authorize quests. Like there was one to authorize
Oh,
your
come
2
on.
engineers back onto the Normandy
Yeah.
because they were being held and detained. You could authorize that they come back to the Normandy, authorize searches for people, buy stuff for quests because you couldn't find it. Eventually, just be in your Spectre terminal.
I didn't know you could just buy the stuff that you missed in quests.
But it only helped you for like 3 or 4 quests. Like
Yeah,
there's
3 or
still
4, it
a
wasn't a
million
lot.
of them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you
Exactly.
don't want to
and
rely
since I
on
would
it.
forget that I even had
Exactly.
those quests to begin with, I was just like, okay.
well,
I
and
spent
going back
Go ahead.
going back to what Fudd was saying about the journal, where it was like, yeah, it's in this system somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find it eventually, and then you're like, there's Reapers all over this place, and then to get the Reapers to reset, you need to go and do another mission, and then by that time, you failed the mission that you were originally trying to do anyway.
Nah.
So it's like, are
I'm-
you kidding?
Did
I
you fail
just-
any
I
missions
would
there,
literally-
Blue, out there? Like saving biotic children or anything?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You didn't save the kids in the academy?
She didn't know it was time gated.
Oh,
And I couldn't find it, so they died.
She never went there to
That's like
do
one of
the
the
mission.
best side quests too.
Yeah, the one with
Jack.
Jack.
Do it.
That
Jack
sucks.
is awesome.
But I would literally, in between the priority missions, would go every quadrant, every circle, and I'd go to every planet and scan. And the funny thing, if the Reapers would, if you'd find something that you could go hit, but you had Reapers chasing, you just go out of the circle, come in back a different angle, and fly up to a hit A.
Yep.
They wouldn't attack you,
Yep.
and then just fly away from them and get out of there.
It was
You
it was
didn't
a
have to
cool
do a
idea, but
mission.
it was
Yeah.
so easy to cheese it.
Yeah.
It was.
To the point
it was
where
easy.
like it wasn't it wasn't a problem. Yeah.
No.
Russell.
I'd literally let them. They'd be right behind me like this. I'd fly out and turn back,
Oh, yeah.
come back, and get
Right,
it.
and just do it again. Yeah.
I'd just fuck with them. I'd sit there and spin circles. Like, come get me, come get me. Oh, I'm that way.
Russ, you've had your hand up for about 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. So while we're talking about mechanics that we absolutely hated, and this was 1, 2, and 3, that I could not access the journal in the galaxy map.
Yes. Yeah. You have to exit to look at
I-
everything.
Mm.
Yes.
That was annoying.
Ooh,
Yes.
I fucking hated it because I would forget the name of the system that I needed to go to.
Yep.
So I'd have to
Uh-huh.
go frick, and I'd have to exit out, go look at my journal. Then by the time I got back into the galaxy map, I'd forgotten again, so I need to go back to the journal. It's like you need a notebook so you could write everything down, so that by the time you got to the galaxy map, you could just go, well, I know where I'm going.
Funny story
I
with
like
that.
the second one because it actually said on the map, like,
Yes.
go here is
Yes.
this mission,
Yes.
go here is this
Yeah.
mission. I really
Well,
like
Yes.
Yeah.
that.
2 definitely had the best galaxy map.
Absolutely.
Two
Yeah.
introduced it. 1 didn't have that, but 2 did, right? I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Am I?
Mhm.
1 didn't have it, but 2 did.
Correct.
So 2, and I didn't figure that out for a long time because I was used to looking at 1. And so 2 actually told you where stuff was, which I was like, oh.
This is great.
Yeah.
And the third one told you where some stuff was. And it was
the
the same
priority
with 2.
stuff.
Yeah.
It would
the
tell you where
priority stuff,
some
yeah.
stuff was, but not where everything was. And if you were trying to do a side mission, it's like, you're screwed. You're boned. Got nothing.
Yep.
No, fun story with one. Over the years, right? Me and my wife have been together a long time, and I've played through Mass Effect 1 many times. And she laughs because she'll be like, "Oh, you playing Mass Effect 1 again?" Because she'll just hear in the corner me going, "Okay, Argus Row, Treminid, Argus Row, Treminid, Argus Row, Treminid, Argus Row, Treminid." Just repeating where I need to go over and over and over and over again.
Oh my gosh.
So good. Well, do we want to get into some new squad mates here?
Yes,
Yeah.
because I have a follow-up point from last episode that I've been
Perfect.
dying to talk about.
Perfect.
Before we get into that,
Ooh.
can somebody answer me why there
Oh.
aren't Krogan on this current team?
Good question. I think
Because
it
they're
makes it more
all
special.
dealing with Tachanka
Well, they
stuff.
give you James instead.
I mean, like you had side missions where you went with Grunt.
Yeah.
You had
and-
like a Miss Temporary
and some
squad
with
mate.
Ray.
They
Yeah.
were kind of busy doing their own thing. The Krogans were. They were there to help you and stuff, but not
Yeah.
be on
I mean,
the
the Galaxy
Normandy
was-
with you.
Yeah,
I
the
mean-
Galaxy is a lot busier this game.
But the Turian
So-
were doing the same thing, so were the Quarian, but we got Tully and we got
Yeah,
Garrus.
But
so
Garrus is the guy, though. You know.
I'm just calling racist. I'm saying
I don't know if you call it. You got to think there was really just Grunt and Rex. So, you know,
Yeah.
the Quarians had a little more. The
And I-
Turians had a little more. Had more people. So
Well,
introduce
they
a
made
new
it cooler when you
Krogan,
saw
I
them.
don't care.
Introduce
Introduce
a
a
They
new
have
shaman.
one.
shaman roles in their society.
Introduce a
so-
shaman Krogan. That would have been awesome. Just throw
But
a
they're
shaman. on
pacifists.
them.
Just put Reeve on the squad.
hey,
We can't put
you
Reeve
had
on
a
the squad.
Krogan on the ship. You had the girl Krogan on the ship for a while. There you
Yeah.
go. What are you arguing about? Come on, Russ.
That actually
God.
would have been cool if you could have taken her on missions with you.
That'd been way cool. Yeah.
It wouldn't have made
she would-
sense because she probably
yeah,
would
she
have.
had a-
if she got killed, that's
She's like
game
the
over,
holy
but-
grail of the Krogans.
Yeah.
She really is. Yeah.
It
You
still
know
would
what?
have
Go
been
get
cool
him,
because
Rex.
she was
You
bad.
killed her.
She was way
you
cool.
killed her, and Rex destroys the Normandy by himself. It's
Basically, yeah.
But
we
that-
can't
that-
reproduce.
That kind of would have been a cool like consequence, right?
Oh,
If we're
absolutely.
talking, I mean, Mass Effect, the trilogy is all about consequences. You take her on missions, and in one of those, in the final mission, she gets killed. That would have been a cool like. Well, now the Krogan are pissed, and they're killing everybody because they had the answer to the genophage, and now it's gone, and it's all, your fault.
Mhm.
That would have been cool, but I don't know. Anyway, squad mates.
Yeah,
The-
so best squad mate, I think of the trilogy, at least lore-wise, is Javik. And
Ooh.
I never played with Javik until I bought the Legendary Edition
Same.
fairly recently.
Same.
And
Yeah.
he is like
He is cool.
a total, well, all the context he gives in every single mission to everything going on around you with
Right.
the Reapers is like, it changes the entire perspective of the game. It's like it was such a disservice to everyone playing that he was not a part of the full game
Yes.
Mm.
because he gives
Yeah.
so much extra backstory and context for everything going on.
And it's just so
But-
much fun to hear him sassing off to all the primitives too.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and how it completely changes how everyone looked at Protheans completely. And not just
Right.
what's going on with the Reapers, but like how, everything we thought was completely wrong.
I think the biggest one to me, and I think they play into it pretty well, even though it happens late in the game, is when you bring him to I forget what the name of the planet is, but the Asari homeworld.
Oh, yeah.
Thessia.
Thessia. When you bring him on the Thessia mission, where like everything's gone to shit, and you bring him to the temple at the very end.
I was so
And-
mad I didn't
and
bring him.
Oh
I was
my
so
god!
mad when I got to
I
that point.
restarted the mission when I got to that point and realized what was going on, because you start looking at all the like cave paintings that they have in this temple or
Yeah.
museum, kind of
Yeah.
museum temple, and you realize that the Asari are worshiping Protheans.
Yeah.
And
I was mad I didn't bring Liara or Javik on that mission.
Oh, I brought Liara,
and
and that
so
was
yeah,
fun.
so
I
you
did.
bring
Oh yeah.
I brought Liara and Javik, and you
Oh my
get to that
God.
point in the mission, and Javik is just like, yeah, we made you. Like, the Asari are an artificial race that the Protheans invented
Oh, whoa.
to be like our housekeepers and our like entertainment, basically. Like they were just like some like like a science project to the Protheans, like the entire Asari race. And the way they play it off with Liara, where it's like her whole understanding of the galaxy is just torn apart, is so insane. Just from this one section of this one mission. And that has impact for the rest of the game, where like you go and talk to Liara after that, and she's like, everything I know is a lie. All my research, everything I've spent my entire life doing is a lie, and I have this guy here who is literally living proof to confirm it.
Yep.
And the fact that that's not in the game unless you buy the DLC, that changes the entire perspective of everything going on, is so crazy.
Wait,
Thank you,
Javik was
Legendary.
a DLC character?
Yes.
Yeah.
My
What?
first couple times playing through, he didn't exist.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
if I remember right, I think like Javik's like DLC was like a day one DLC. If I remember right, it was like
Yes.
paired up with the game
From,
at
it was
launch,
called
but you
like
had to
From
buy it
the Ashes or
separately.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like an
That is
extra $30 or
crazy.
something, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
I can't do it. That
is
actually,
crazy to
that's
me.
fun. If anyone remembers, there's this big discussion that happened in gaming with like day one DLC. Like I think I remember Mass Effect 3 coming out, and it was like a huge deal to like pay for content that's already on the disc it came with. It was a huge thing in gaming for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and especially in the context of Mass Effect 3, where you have this character that basically changes the entire story.
Oh yeah.
That is left out if you don't give the publisher their extra $10 redues or whatever.
That's what's
You know.
crazy to me, because like Mass Effect 2 had Zaid and the thief lady.
Kasumi.
Right.
Yeah.
Kasumi, yeah.
But they're fairly inconsequential to the whole
Right.
plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Javik is like critical to
Pivotal.
everything
Everything.
that happens in Mass Effect 3.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's mind blowing. Like there's that mission that happened so early on that I just never having played it before, and only having played the Legendary Edition, it just seemed like it was part of the original game.
Yeah.
I don't get how it wasn't.
I remember at the time the game came out, there was like a lot of speculation that was like, the game was designed around you having Javik in your squad, or as an option in your squad, and obviously EA interfered, or conspiracy is that EA interfered with BioWare and told them, we need a DLC character. You know, we
Would not
want
be
people to
surprised.
pay for this.
Yeah. And he was
Make
the
it
chosen
so
one.
Javik's, DLC.
Yeah, Javik was your historian on the
Yeah.
Normandy, is what he was.
Just real quick, because it was funny to jump back to the temple on Thessia, right? Is if you don't bring Javik, right? Like I brought Liara, so her mind was blown, but I brought Tali with, and it was each artifact is designed voice line like it's the first one you're looking at. So the whole time it was hilarious because it just sounded like Tali was pissed off at Liara for not understanding. Liara would be like, what is going on? He's here, Tali. It's a Prothean. Like I already told you this. She just sounded pissed off the whole time. What are you not understanding?
I haven't gotten that interaction. I don't think I've ever brought Tali on that mission.
I brought Tali and Liara on that same thing he did.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
it was
was
hilarious.
so
Listening to
funny.
Tali.
I remember
Tali gets so
I
mad
was
at her.
saying how last run through I had where I restarted and brought Javik instead. I got to that point and I had James on my squad, and he's just like, "Oh man, this stuff's crazy." Like he has like nothing to say the whole time. It was just
He
like
doesn't
such a
know
waste.
shit. Yeah.
Right, he doesn't know anything about it.
I
You
brought
should just
James and I
beat
brought
up things.
Yeah.
I brought
Exactly.
James and I brought Tali. So the interaction actually made sense where he was going, "What's going on?" And she's going, "It's a Prothean." dumbass."
Yeah. Well, let's slide that directly over actually to talk about James as just interestingly enough, another human member of the squad, and just a big, I'm a soldier. I punch, like he's like kind of the Krogan replacement for the team.
I really liked James. I remember
Yeah.
I remember when the game came out, like people really shit on James because he's like, oh, he's just like the big meathead. But it's like, yeah, but we've never had that in Mass Effect. We never had like the human meathead character, right? We've always had Grunt or Rex or right, we had the Krogan to fill that role, which are a totally different species with a totally different race. Like, it's interesting to see the human perspective on that, right? Where it's like, okay, well, now what is the average soldier in the Alliance like? Right, because we've only ever had Shepard, who's like, Spectre,
Next level,
crazy,
yeah.
next level, right, god tier operator kind of type.
Well,
So
we've had
I always really
Ashley,
liked James.
We had who was the guy from the
Well,
first one?
Ashley,
So we had
Ashley was
Kaden
just
and
like a regular
Ashley.
soldier.
Yeah.
James is supposed to be
Was a
like
biotic.
kind of another level up when you meet him.
Well,
But
because
you don't
they're
have
all-
Ashley in 2, right?
They're all in 7 too, right?
No.
Which is like
No,
a tier
you're the only
above?
N7.
In
really?
Yeah.
So in 3, they make whoever is alive, Kaden or Ashley. The council makes them another Spectre, like halfway
yeah.
through the game or whatever once they recover.
And then James
but
has
then,
a
like,
thing
with
where he's
Kaden, though-
becoming an N7. That is a thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's going down the
Yeah.
path. Yeah.
I
Kaden,
really
though,
like
is like
James.
he's like a separate thing because he's like the whole biotic kind of human thing. Yeah, I think maybe what I always got from Ashley though is that she's an officer, right? You
Sure.
know, like she's not the meathead grunt character, right? She's like
Right. Yeah.
very mission focused, very like leadership, disciplined, do the mission, blah blah blah. And Grunt's like, oh yeah, I just want to fuck around and shoot things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like James. I thought he was nuanced enough. He was probably what's the word I'm looking for? Cliche.
Yeah.
He was a trope. But they played him nuanced enough that he wasn't just one dimensional, right? He wasn't just the meathead grunt. He had depth to him. He brought enough, like, especially I really love his interaction with who is it? It's Liara, and it's Liara, and basically they're having a conversation about biotics, and James is like, "Nah, man, muscle's where it's at," and then she like levitates him up in the air, and he's like, "All right,
Yeah.
I concede." In my head, I really love that play, and like how he gets Ashley drunk at one point, and like he's constantly like he's kind of that meathead grunt, but he's constantly like pulling people in. Like he did the same with Shepard, where he's like, "You just got to cut loose sometimes, man." Like he has that interaction with him in Purgatory, where he brings the other people up, and he's like, "They're all scared of you. Like, just buy them a drink. Like, you
Humanize
you
yourself.
don't just have to, don't just have to be the soldier all the time." And I really like that about him. Of like, he's constantly doing that with like everybody in the crew, and I think that added enough nuance to where, yeah, he's kind of a trope, but he also had enough nuance to him to where it really built out his character, and I liked it.
Yeah.
And he was funny most of the time.
Yeah. Well, and I liked like Samantha Trainer, right? Your new secretary, whatever, on the ship. Like
Yeah.
her.
Love her.
The Inquisitor.
Yes. But her and James are kind of both like people who are just kind of happened to people of circumstance are on the ship, and like Trainer is more like, oh my god, you guys are legends, I can't believe you're here, right? And James is kind of like, oh, sick, like this is a chance I can see what the hell's going on. Like I liked that different approach to being thrown in that scenario.
Yeah.
And that's his total thing, is it's not like I'm totally going to be right there with you. It's like, oh cool, I'm excited to see if I have what it takes to run with these guys.
I actually found myself warming up a lot more to like all the new characters that they introduced on the Normandy this playthrough.
Sure.
Again, the third one, because it was like everybody else was like the first couple of times I played through it, James, Trainer, Cortez, all of them, they were just kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to take the attention away from Garrus.
The man.
But-
Garrus is hard. Garrus is really hard to beat, and I love.
is.
I mean, and like the first one, I really like Garrus because he looked cool.
Yeah.
Like he had some cool stuff, but it was mostly because his character design is amazing.
Yeah,
See,
like they
even
had
now-
reached the graphics potential of the 360 at that point, where like, oh yeah, the Turians like look really cool. Like their skin's metallic and it's like really detailed and
See, like even right now, I've just diverted the whole conversation
Oh, just by mentioning
away
him.
from
Oh
the
yeah.
new Normandy
Just
crew.
by mentioning him.
And Ashley's
Yeah.
giggling like a little squirrel girl up there when you mentioned Garrus.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, before we jump away from James, real quick though, there is a moment if you invite him to the apartment, right?
Yep.
Where you can attempt to break his record for pull-ups, right? Did
Yep.
anybody sit there and break that record?
I
I
did.
it.
I did.
Twice.
I did it.
Let's go.
Oh man,
done-
I'm the
every
only one who
time I-
hasn't done it.
Let's
Oh
go.
my
Every
God.
time I play through
It
the
takes
game,
like
I do it.
half an hour,
Yeah.
doesn't
It
it?
sure does.
It takes a
It
long
sure
time.
does, but I
So
did
worth
not
it.
care.
I
I've
put
done it
on a
every time I
YouTube
played the
video
game.
and held my mouse
Yep.
on my belly like a desk and just like click, click.
Well, it's like it's like that's the first
Yeah,
time I'd
and
ever
on
done
the
it. And
controller,
Blue
it's
told me
whenever,
about it
yeah.
beforehand,
Yeah.
but it
I
was
never
like
got that
started going-
interaction.
Yeah, I started going through it. It's just like that had to be the most times that RNGGator Shepard ever did any Renegade interrupts.
Yeah. You didn't see that one, Russ?
I was like,
No, when I brought
Well,
him
I-
up to the apartment, he pulled his shirt off and showed me his N7 tattoo.
So
Oh,
That's
so-
part
so
of it, yeah.
what
After-
you
go ahead.
missed? Yeah, go ahead. What you missed was if you go towards the exit, you turn down towards your room that has the punching bag. He's in there punching, and there's a pull up bar. If you go to that pull up bar, it starts that
Oh.
interaction of you doing pull ups, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to beat my record," and that's where you either choose to keep going or not. Yeah, it's
See,
not
I didn't
part of
know
the
that you could
conversation.
have interactions with them after
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
the main interaction. I didn't know that they stayed in the apartment.
So-
I always just
Some of
left
them did.
immediately.
Yeah, if you're following him as he's leaving the apartment, he'll like walk by that room and actually turn and go, "What's this?" and like walk in and start punching the bag. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, look, a punching bag." Yeah.
And it's seriously,
I-
Russ, it's
I-
30
I-
minutes of just click.
I do it.
Yes,
I
I
felt
do it.
so
Go ahead, Blue.
bad for that guy Maple because he was in my chat the entire time I was doing the pull-ups.
Oh,
It was
Maple
like-
was in there.
Yeah, every time we reached a milestone and the animation for it would change, he was like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh gosh, your shepherd just got worse. I didn't think that was possible."
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I got to go find, because there's that one when you get towards the end where Shepard, this is a visual bit, right? Where Shepard is like, oh, right into the camera.
yeah.
I'm sure that was
Fun-
a nightmare for you.
Fun fact to anyone who wants
Oh
to
God,
look it
yeah.
up.
Think about that.
The on my YouTube channel, the very last episode, that's the VOD of my Mass Effect stream. That is literally the thumbnail for it.
Oh God.
It was one of the
All right,
ones
going
that
to look at it
where
now.
I was like, I have to do it.
Yep, going to YouTube.
Going
Hold
to
on.
look at it now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
So while everybody's
the
going to
VOD's
YouTube.
channel.
Oh God, there it is.
Okay, so
let's go-
All right.
we've
I wanna
talked
talk
about
about-
everyone's favorite teammates. What about everyone's least favorite squad mates?
Wait, I
Unless
want to
there's
say
more
something
to
about
say.
Trainer.
Well, hold on, yeah, we're still getting through here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
Go ahead,
my
Russ.
favorite thing about Trainer is her luxury toothbrush.
Yes.
That is a Mass
Oh,
Effect
yeah.
shield
It is the
It breaks up
MVP
the
of the
flag.
ship.
that you then take in the DLC to break into the ship.
So amazing. The second she ran out of the ship, was like, all I was able to get was my toothbrush. I was like, something's gonna happen.
Uh-huh.
Check
I
off
know this
toothbrush.
toothbrush.
Well, I don't know who had Caden and who had Ashley in Mass Effect 3. Did anyone have Caden?
I did.
I think on my most recent run, I had Caden. I've done
I-
both. I've switched between them.
I had Ashley.
Okay, well, let's hear from Leper then, since he's the odd man out here. How was
Okay.
Caden? I've never had Caden in Mass Effect 3.
Neither had I up to this point.
So what was that like? Because I know Ashley is a lot different and has a lot of growth. Is he still a cardboard
Yeah.
box?
Not quite. Like it's like you get to see a bit more depth to him if you actually let him survive Vermeer. But there's actually a point where it's like you meet up with him for lunch on the Citadel, and you get talking for a little bit, and it's like there's this kind of really soft, tender music that started playing during the interaction. I'm going, oh no, I see where this is going. Oh no. I'm already locked in with Scarra. Don't do this to me.
Sounds about right.
But luckily, it just wound up being like, you know, Happy Friends is like we're kind of like bros, but maybe not quite like Shepard and Garrus bros.
Yeah.
Because again, it's tricky to top that. But it's like actually having him survive Vermeer and actually interacting with him through the rest of the trilogy, I was just like, it's actually all right.
Oh, good. That's really cool to hear, actually, because I've never done it because I'm always like, I'm afraid it's just going to be this in every game.
Yeah.
I'll have to try that next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's part of me that's glad the playthrough is done because it's I have to get this done in a month.
Yeah.
Mentality.
Yeah.
Of like, there are other games that I want to play and I haven't had time to play them. Because I've been trying, not as much as I would like, because I've been trying to finish Mass Effect. But there's also part of me that finished the third one and went, I want to see what happens if I make the other choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And welcome to the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Forever replaying the Mass Effect trilogy.
Just to know what happens.
Exactly. Well, let's
What
jump into Ashley then, right? Ashley Williams, as she begins the game, still very much like, I don't trust you. Wah, you suck. You probably blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
And then the growth, throughout the game, if you really converse with her and bring her with on some missions, and like, there's a lot of change that happens with her character. Like a lot of things you hate about her Mass Effect 1, like, her outlook on aliens and you as a person and like how things can work is like, it completely changes as the game goes on. And you're like, oh, thank you. 'Cause I would have really hated to just ignore you for a whole nother game.
Exactly.
He was a lot more attractive too.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. She got herself figured out.
Everyone's more attractive in Mass Effect 3. What are you talking about?
That is
I don't know
also a
if
fact.
Garrus is just as attractive as he was.
They totally redesigned the default femshep in Mass Effect 3 to be more attractive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The default one, Bluelazor, just the default one.
Oh, not mine?
No,
Oh.
no.
Not yours. Yours didn't get you didn't get redesigned.
I think
Let's
Garrus is the
redesign
only
mine.
one. I think Garrus is the only character in Mass Effect that stays exactly the same amount of attractive through all three of them.
Well, you can't improve perfection.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he is awesome. And he looks awesome in 1 and 2 and 3. Of course, I'm going off the Legendary Edition because it's been years since I've looked at what was originally there. And I'm sure, because I know they did like some reskins to make them look more congruent across the trilogy.
Yeah. They've
But
always looked
Garrus
great.
is still hot.
Garrus is perfect. Yeah. Well, speaking of perfection and hot, Edie got a body, and it's like,
Oh man!
That's
And
what I
it's-
was going to bring up.
and it's
with
up
Why
the
could I
times.
not
character.
romance? Why could I not romance Edie? Why?
Because
Screw
she belongs
Joker.
to Joker.
yeah.
Look,
I
would.
just always thought Robot Body Edie was so awkward and cringy. Like
Oh,
even when the game
man.
came out, I thought like just having this like sexy robot lady following you around, it was just always so awkward for me.
Yeah. The idea of
man.
her taking a body was really cool. But even this playthrough, I'm like, why does her robot boobies need to be so big? Like this
Right,
doesn't make
Exactly.
sense.
Exactly.
It just
Because
it
like
doesn't.
they toned down Miranda a bit with like the Legendary Edition, like all the close-ups on her butt and stuff. But it's like there's not really much you can do with Edie, right? It's
Yeah.
just like
It's
here's
there.
a robot with huge tits.
Yeah.
Look,
Cool.
I would
Thanks, BioWare.
I would have Vrolic syndrome.
Oh my
I'm
bone
just saying.
Someone's jealous of Joker. Someone's jealous of Joker.
Oh, big time! I messaged Elmer as soon as she jumped into that body. I messaged Elmer and I was like, "Please tell me I can romance Edie."
He's
I was
about to throw
Tolly-
everything away.
I was Tolly all the way, and then as soon as I saw Edie, I was like, and the voice. It's really more the voice, and
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
then also, I mean, like the body's not.
Uh-huh.
It's metal. What are you gonna do with that? I mean, come on,
Buddy, the
It's
future is
all
now.
cold. It's like screw an ice cube.
Been
But
there, done that.
really the voice that went along with it, and I love how the trainer ED interaction in the
Yes,
DLC.
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know you
So
were an
heard
AI.
me. So you heard me when I said I'd love to wrap myself in satin sheets and roll around with that voice of yours. You heard that.
I hear everything.
Well, besides the sexy body of Edie, right? Her becoming a more important character and her own thing and figuring out this whole unshackled AI thing, right? Of what does it mean to have my own personality and to be more human like and like that growth and what is a relationship? You know, like it was a very fascinating look into that, watching her kind of like figure things out and really rely on Shepard. And you had, you know, the option to like really mold her or kind of like let her figure things out on her own, which I really liked. It was super cool.
Yeah.
One of my favorite interactions is her and Joker sitting in purgatory, and she's just naming people to see what Joker like. Are they attractive, hot or not? And they're having that conversation.
Fuck, marry,
and
kill.
he's like, "This is really weird." Like she brings up, I can't remember who she brings up, and he's like, "This is the end of this conversation. Like I really don't want to talk about this anymore. This is gross. It's weird. I'm out."
Because he's got a thing for Grunt, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, and the best
I
part with
do.
Edie is like just saying something completely unhinged and that perfect beat, and then that was a joke. Like it got
That
me
was a
every
joke,
time.
yeah.
I loved it every time.
Edie.
Well,
Or we could kill them all.
or we could kill.
That was
That was a joke. I like seeing humans on their
I
knees.
love the sight of humans on their knees.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
And then we also have, we have a lot of games to talk about here, but not to shorten anyone's time here, obviously, but you know, again, tried and true squad mate as Tali returns to you again with a lot more responsibility on her shoulder. Her growth throughout all three games is absolutely incredible. Again, just her voice acting, everything about Quarians is just super cool, and really getting into the backstory there, a lot more lore. You know, like Mass Effect 2 obviously leaned into Quarians a lot more, which is awesome. But like, oh my, everything going on with the Quarians in Mass Effect 3 was just incredible.
Well, and if you do Legion's mission, and then you like when it comes back around, that reconciliation between the Quarians and the Geth,
Yes.
such a good mission. And I had romanced her, and then like the line, I don't know if you get it if you don't romance her, where he's like, "Kila Salai." She's like, "I love you," and he's like, "Kila Salai," as they're like they're going up against the Reaper. Such a cool moment, and I just love her like nervousness.
Yes.
Like when you romance her, but like she's like, but then she's got that tigress too, and it's just really cool. Plus, you finally get to see her face, and I was all about that.
Yeah, how was that?
Because you get like a portrait. She gives you a picture, and that's the only time you get to see her face.
So
and
they changed that for Legendary Edition. It was a
Did they really?
much worse picture originally. Like
Oh, it
you
was a
really
stock
didn't
photo,
get a
right?
great. Yeah, it was like a stock photo that they just kind of edited to have glowing eyes.
Sure.
And it looked terrible, and people were not happy about it after 3 games.
Oh, I'm sure.
But for Legendary Edition though, like I think they used like a piece of fan art and like actually like credited the person that had made it.
It was really good. Like she looked different enough, and they kind of had like that. She kind of had like this washed out appearance, which fit with like the kind of sickly virtue of the Quarian. Like you could see
she's been wearing that helmet like all day.
Right. You never like. It's even like I'm sure UV protected and stuff like that. So it was really cool. It was a really good moment. I would find it hard to romance anybody else except maybe Garrus. Just because she's just like, and she's loyal to you throughout the entire trilogy. That was my big thing. I was like, because I was like, maybe I'll romance Ashley, maybe and I was kind of, or Liara, and I was like, I really love that Tali is like on your side through the entire trilogy, and I was like, just the way I was playing Shepard, I was like, that's gonna be his girl right there. You start the relationship in the second one, and then the third one. just holding true because she's always there.
Yeah, it's
Amen.
always Talia or Liara for me. I can never romance. You know.
I gotta say, I really loved at the end of your mission where you're taking back their home planet.
Yes.
Mhm.
There's
Oh
this,
yes.
the beautiful moment where you're talking to Tali on her home planet, and she's talking about, oh, I'm gonna have a house here, and
Yep.
it's like the window's gonna be pointing that way and stuff.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then
This is where the window's going to be.
Yeah.
but then I was like, at the end of it, it was like, I can't remember if it was an option or if it just happens, but it's like you pick up a rock and you hand it to her and go,
Yeah.
this is good enough for now, and she's just so happy with her rock. It was like, it's such a beautiful moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one we'll talk about that probably later with summarizing and stuff, but like just how the writing obviously has been incredible in every game. But Mass Effect 3's ability to like make me feel things, like it's everything just felt so real, so beautifully acted, written, the music on top of it. It was just such a sweet, like these relationships have built up and you feel it's not just like, hey, I know this person, we've been around each other. Like you feel those relationships getting closer and the inside jokes and obviously, you know, the DLC, you know, with the apartment and the party and everything where you get to really deal with everybody. Which this was actually my first time playing through that DLC, which was incredible. But like just that whole like, yeah, we feel like a family that's gone through some shit together. You know, it's just so beautifully done.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what's weird is I was looking specifically at Elmer's picture, and what did you say her name was? The thief lady?
Kasumi.
Kasumi was in the picture. I never ran into Kasumi my entire Mass Effect 3 playthrough.
Really?
I have no idea where she was. Or how I missed her.
She's only in the Citadel DLC, I think.
Yeah.
If you have the DLC.
She sends an
If you had
email.
Legendary, you would.
She sends an email that she wants to talk to you. There's a whole mission you do on the Citadel with her.
Yeah.
But then the only other time she pops up is in the
yeah.
Citadel
So
DLC.
if
I never ran into her.
So there's a
I
side
read all the
quest.
emails.
There's a side quest on the Citadel where you meet with her, and it's the one with the Hanar ambassador. And normally in that quest, there's like a Solarian commando that like sacrifices himself to like stop this like Hanar ambassador that's been taken over by the Reapers.
I didn't do that mission.
Okay, so if you do that normally, it's the Solarian that like sacrifices himself to like stop the ambassador from like destroying. I think he's like shutting down the Hanar like planetary defenses or something, so the Reapers can come in. The Solarian will sacrifice himself. If you do it with Kasumi, the Solarian Spectre is hunting Kasumi, like trying to like arrest her, and Kasumi fakes her own death in the process of saving the Hanar homeworld, which gets the Solarian off her back. And then there's like this scene with like Shepard and her where Shepard's like, yeah, you can come out now. I know you faked your death. Even though like her body's lying there on the floor or whatever. It's just like a hologram or something. It was a cool scene. That was a fun addition with having her for Mass Effect 3 like in that
I don't
DLC.
know how I missed that.
Yeah,
you gotta
if you
play
have it
again.
coming from 2, I think it's like automatic. But yeah, that was like I had never had that one before because I'd never played through with the
because you had to go to your Spectre station on the Citadel to authorize something to search for the Hanar.
Oh, and you didn't know about doing that.
If you probably didn't do that, that probably didn't kick off her following you around and doing that mission.
I don't think I ever picked up the mission that indicated that there was the Hanar.
It was Hanar. It was called Hanar Diplomat or something. Is what it was called. Something like that.
Was it the same guy who plays Blasto?
No.
Is my question.
No. I think it's the guy does the same voice. The same guy does the voices for all the Hanar. They all have the same voice, right?
But it's not the same Hanar.
No, it's not Blasto, but it sounds like him. Yeah.
I got you.
I thought it was funny, but I guess it was
right over our head. Sorry.
Everybody took me so serious.
Sorry.
I got Blasto
is
really locked in.
The guy who
Yeah,
plays
we were-
Blasto is such a
sorry.
ridiculous character.
Oh yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
you know,
Isn't it the guy who does the voice of Mailship also does Blasto?
I don't know. That'd be amazing
I
if it
think
is.
so.
Probably.
You'd have to Google that. I have no idea.
I
Did,
think he did a few of the roles in the trilogy besides Mailship, so probably.
Speaking of Blasto, did anyone get to film a Blasto movie during their playthrough of Mass Effect 3?
Oh yeah.
I
Yes,
did.
I
Just a
did.
big stupid jellyfish.
Yeah.
that was like
Incredible.
what I loved is
Yes, Mark
Is-
Meer does do the voice of the Hanar as well as Mailship.
That's funny.
what I loved is that was like the one time where the Paragon interrupts were actually causing chaos.
Yes.
I
Yes.
loved it.
Ugh.
And the fact it
I
was
do
with
love-
Javik was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Java,
I-
it
yeah.
makes even better.
I thought it was funny that the Paragon interrupts were to correct him. Like, that feels like a very renegade thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like the Paragon thing to do would be like, whatever, he
Yeah,
can take
sure.
the credit. And the renegade option would be to, no, that was me. What are you talking about? That was me.
I think it might have been because the interrupts might have happened a little bit after Javik started picking up on what the vid was being shooted, and he was like,
Javik's
"You can tell
like,
he
why
doesn't
am I
want to be here
here?"
anymore." Yeah. So it's like,
He just
okay,
wants to
you're
kill
gonna mess this
somebody
up,
by
so
the
we're gonna
end.
leave sooner.
Yeah.
That entire DLC could have been a whole game, and I would have been
It could
like
have been. There's
that
a lot
entire
there.
DLC. Because again, I didn't play that until this recent playthrough. I'd never touched that DLC. And the entire, as someone who's played through a million times, right? I've really grown close to these characters. That's why I chose it for the game club, right? I was smiling ear to ear the entire goddamn
Yeah.
time. It was
Yeah,
so
Citadel
fun.
Citadel is
were
so much fun.
so good.
I
I
was
really loved
laughing through the clone mission.
Yes, yes.
that. Was
Oh
great.
God, yes.
Or
that was
the
ridiculous.
the part of that
was
mission
ridiculous.
where you're like going through the Spectre archives and there's like all these Easter eggs like hidden like in the game world of like
Yeah.
all the stuff you're finding where it's like, oh yeah, the council like knew about all this shit with the Reapers for like centuries and they just ignored it. Or like I think there's one point where like you're walking into a room
Okay.
and one of the projectors is showing the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones.
Yes. yes.
Like-
Oh, I missed that one.
Like,
I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
check
there's
it
like
out
there's like a
next
lot
time.
of really funny Easter eggs in that section there, like running through the archives.
There are a couple of moments that I'm really sad that I missed because I was trying to get it done. So I was playing like when my son was there, Lindsay was there, and so Lindsay would be like, "Hey, I need you to do this," and I'd be like, "All right, let me finish this mission." So that was one where I had to like run through. So I missed a lot of like
Yeah.
the Ark of the Covenant, things
Yeah.
like that. The other one that I'm really mad that I missed was oh gosh, what's his name? The Solarian. One second.
Morden?
Morden.
Morden was his pivotal end scene.
No, you missed that?
Oh.
They were needing something, so I had to walk away while I was doing the
No.
cutscene to do the thing.
Oh my
So I-
God, no.
So I heard him singing in the background, and I came back. I didn't get to see it. I only got to hear.
Oh, go
No.
YouTube that, man. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I think that made Ashley cry, didn't it?
She did.
It did.
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
cried. And then
I-
they had the sequence where like you have to go to sleep and you had the nightmare with the child running around.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And somehow in my brain just went, if I kill the child, Morden will come back. So it just became my mission to kill the child whenever the nightmare came.
And
That explains the
a
end.
lot.
Yeah, yeah. Huh.
Yep.
Interesting.
Wow.
Spoilers. We don't have to talk about that right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there. But oh, I could just talk about that DLC forever. Like that was such just like a hey,
I loved it.
we're glad you spent time in these games. Like here's everything you want. When you're caught in that room and like the entire like everyone you've ever met is just on the gangplank, just blasting like crazy. And Rex is like,
Yeah.
it's like this is why I love you guys. Why shoot someone 2 times when you can shoot them 37 times?
Exactly.
And they're just having like all the banter back and forth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
The
the
god.
party for
And
sure.
the party,
Like, just
yes.
so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shepard.
And then you
Grunt.
choose someone for a mission, and then the others are like, I wanted to go.
I never
Exactly.
get
Yeah.
picked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
that's what
really-
happens. Is like when I picked the ones for the Sky Car, I think it was just like most of the game it was Garrison Liara all the way
Yeah. Same.
because those were my people. But it's so funny. It's like having Rex be like, "Oh," and Caden going, "I feel you. I never get picked."
Yeah.
It's like Bioware saying, "Hey, we know."
You don't pick Caden.
I really feel like the DLC is an essential part because if you
I
take it
agree.
out, and maybe we're going to talk about this later, but the third one, as far as like the story beats for me, weren't as strong as the second one. And I think that's because you're meant to feel like you're in a rush, like everything's collapsing in on you, which was weird because, like you were talking about, then you'd go back to the Citadel between pivotal missions, and you would spend 2 hours running around the Citadel trying to pick up side quests or finish side quests, which kind of slowed it down. The pacing and the way the story beats hit in the third one for me, it wasn't as strong as the second one. The second one, the way you interact with all the characters, even going into that suicide mission, it felt punchier than like going into the last mission of the last one of Mass Effect 3. So I feel like without the DLC, you miss a lot of that character interaction that was so important in the second one that really fleshed out the story.
Yeah, I'll agree. Well, it's interesting because like in the first one you have, Saren. Yeah, go, Saren, right? In the
Right.
second one, it's collectors, go. In the third one, it's not so much the Reaper invasion is like the bad guy. Like in Mass Effect 3, it's like politics is the bad guy in Mass Effect 3. Which
can
is
see that.
Yeah.
definitely makes things
Yeah.
feel like there's this overwhelming or this over encompassing, like the Reapers are here and stuff's going bad, but at the baseline, it's just dealing with political bullshit the whole game. Which, I agree with you. It definitely feels not as punchy as like, oh my god, what's going on with collectors, or what is Saren and what is his plan going on? And I 100% get it.
Yeah, you
Well,
have
'cause
to play the middleman to get everybody to play along. It's like, everybody shut up, listen to me, work together, or we're all going to die.
Well, I feel like at the beginning of the game, there's an urgency, right?
Yes.
There is, okay, it's happening.
And it
The thing
starts
that's
you
been
off
building
fast.
And it
Yeah.
does. And there's this sense of urgency that feels, in the first couple of missions, it feels like you're being pushed and you're thrown into the deep end. But then it would have and it was mostly with the Citadel, where it would kind of like slow down that pacing. And it was kind of like you're hitting a wall. And I feel like they should have structured it, instead of leaving everything open, if they had funneled and structured that a little bit differently, I feel like there would have been more payoff and better payoff for the story beats. But it was because there was that kind of that brick wall that you run into every time, because you also wanted to do the side missions because you wanted to build up your army. Like, you wanted to get everybody in the same place.
Yeah.
And I think that was, for me, it was this urgent push that was in those priority missions that just like, it was like grinding the gears to slam it back into first gear. And you're like, stop doing that. You are taking me way out of this.
It made sense like the first time you go to the Citadel, because like everyone in your crew talks about how weird it feels that like the war doesn't even exist here, right? Which that first time it makes total sense. But after like the third or fourth time, you're like, okay, like we know, like
yeah.
Well, I guess what the third or fourth time you go in, what it built up, like especially if you went down to like where the refugees were, how many more kept showing up and showing up.
Yep.
Because more of the home worlds were getting taken over by the Reapers, and they were the people that could escape. And you noticed that if you paid attention, you noticed it got worse on the Citadel every time you went back.
And there was like, after you kill Udina and you find out that he is betraying everybody. Well, I mean, he's been an asshole the entire time.
Actually indoctrinated.
Yeah. Shooting him felt so good.
Yes, it
and
did.
Like the destruction that's done to the Citadel, like there's smoke everywhere, and you still get this stuff. But I feel like you shouldn't have had to go to the Citadel as many times. You go early on, you go during that mission, and maybe one more time after that. Instead of spreading it out so much to where you're constantly going back to the Citadel, because every time you went to the Citadel, it throws it back into first gear, and you lose that sense of urgency that was kind of like, I remember playing through that first mission. I think I sent you a message then too, Elmer, where it was like, okay, I get it. Like this is
happening.
awesome. it feels like it's pushing you. You're in there, and just every time you get thrown back into first gear, and that's like, oh, ow. Like, it almost hurt. It was like, wow,
Yeah,
stop.
All right, like on top of the like NPC hunts being tedious in and of themselves, like it just like it kills the momentum of the story so
Yes.
bad.
Yeah, it really does.
It was like finish a priority, fly around the galaxies, find all this side quest stuff, take it back to the Citadel, turn it in. It just feel like like you say, Russ, it kind of brought the game down and just slowed it down, and it didn't really need to, because you just finished that priority mission, and you're like, I want to go do the next priority, but if you go do the next priority, like Blue found out, other missions that are time gated, and you have no idea that it was time gated. I mean, I literally had to Google what's the best way to do Mass Effect 3, so I didn't screw nothing up. I Googled that and followed something. I had to, because I couldn't remember what you did when and where. You know.
Well, the Citadel may slow everyone down, but I think we can all agree that retaking Omega was probably the most fun anyone's ever had, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that
was a blast.
Incredible.
It was a good
You
story.
get the female Turian for the first time and only time.
Yeah.
There's one other
That
in
was
a
an
bar
interesting
that
choice.
Garrus fumbles
I
really
love
badly.
that interaction.
That was
That
great.
interaction was great.
When
And
when
then
was
he just
that?
grabs a beer. and
You
hands
have
it to him.
in the Citadel DLC, you can meet up with people all over the strip, right?
Yeah.
There's one where you meet up with Garrus, and he asks you what you're trying to do, and a female Turian approaches him, and you can kind of coax him to try, and he fumbles it bad.
When you
Yeah,
romance him, that scene is very different.
Ooh, yeah. What does that scene look like?
So how it goes is you're sitting at the bar, and then Garrus comes up to you, and you guys start like acting like it's your first time meeting and doing like that awkward like flirting, hitting on each other.
Oh, I like that.
And he'll glance over, he'll make a compliment about like how beautiful the scenery is as he looks over at the female Turian. And then like you can have your shepherd glare at him, and then he'll immediately look at you and go, "But the view in front of me is much better."
I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking.
Smooth
Yeah.
Garrus.
And then like when he runs out of things to say back and forth in this interaction of pretending you just met, he finally just gives up on it and just takes you on the dance floor, and the two of you do like a tango together.
Oh, that's
And
fun.
it's so amazing.
Oh, I love
Nice.
that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
But yeah, sorry you missed
Yeah,
that,
he-
Billy. It's great. But yeah,
I was so thorough on the Citadel DLC. I feel like I'm probably just not remembering it.
that could be. But no.
Well, and then he's
ahead.
fumbling it really hard, and then this other Turian's walking by with beers, and Shepard just like steals his beers and hands them to Garrus.
That
And
I
Garrus-
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro
Okay.
code, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, retaking Omega, right? Just like only Shepard goes with. You're not choosing your squad mates. You're running around with Arya, and I can't remember her name, the female Turian.
Oh Lord.
It's like Nazine or something like that.
Something like that.
I
yeah.
see her. I see her face, but I
Yes,
can't remember the
yes.
name. Yeah.
But that whole, I mean, just the set pieces, like when you're
Oh,
going
yeah.
through like the underside to get up to the generator, you're going through where they actually mine stuff, and like how high the ceiling is and the floor and like the colors everywhere, and you're like, this place is Omega has always been my favorite place in Mass Effect, and like
Yeah.
to be in the belly of the beast and fighting through the streets and like
Yeah.
getting to the end where the big bad Cerberus guy, who has great respect for you, and it's like, all right, I mean, you won, like that's over, and like Arya will choke him out, and you can choose to stop her or not, and be like, all right, no,
Yeah.
let this guy die, and then she kisses
Either
you,
side with.
and that's all that matters in life.
Yep.
Wait, she
I
kisses you? She didn't
think-
kiss me.
No, she kissed
I
me
think
hard.
I convinced Arya to let him live.
Yeah, I did.
think I did this
and
time,
and there's
too.
like you're if you do like the Paragon Interrupt, you're able to be like, yeah, like him spending a lifetime in an Alliance prison is way worse than just killing him, or something like that.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, if he dies, you get kissed. So I let him die every time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I might have to try that out next time.
Arya is one of the coolest characters.
Yeah,
I
oh, yeah,
appreciate-
for sure.
I appreciate that they had more Paragon interrupts, because I feel like in Mass Effect 2 you only had Renegade interrupts. There were maybe one or two Paragon interrupts, but most of them were all Renegade.
I remember
I
there
think
being
there's
a few Paragon
more. Yeah, I think there
interrupts.
are more
they come
Renegade
up-
interrupts in 2. A little bit, yeah.
Well, I
Maybe,
feel like
but
a lot of the interrupts in 3 are more like they're a lot more subtle, right? Where like
Yeah.
in 2, if you did one, it could change the entire outcome of how a moment would happen. And in 3, there's a lot of like, you know, like towards the end, you know, when like say Garrus is talking about how great friend you are, you just press a button, you shake his hand. Like it's like simple things like that just to add to the ambiance. Or when you're fist fighting James and you can, if you hit all the interactions, you kick his ass. You know, and if you
Yeah, I
only
did
do the
that.
Paragon
Yep.
ones, you come out a little bloody too. But like, I liked it was just kind of like it added to moments instead of like completely changing them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, Leper, you were saying something.
I forgot what I was saying.
Okay, good.
Oh.
That's also partly why I've been raising my hand, because
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I can
yeah.
remember what I
Well-
had to say.
Well, I just know it's going to be really hard because it was like I finished Mass Effect 3 for Game Club, and then it was like the next day I started another playthrough of the trilogy.
No way. So you're playing through one
Yeah,
again?
but I was like, what?
So you're playing through
Yeah,
one
playing
again?
through one again.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
So a lot of time in the make. Go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Uh,
the Thunderhawk
Thundercock, yeah.
was way better than the Mako. I actually
Yeah, I
kind of
kinda like
enjoyed
the
the
Mako.
Thunderhawk. The
Yeah.
Mako,
I've never liked the vehicle sections in Mass Effect.
Yeah.
They're all
So-
terrible.
So
they
There's
feel
like-
weird.
Go ahead.
I'm
Like,
glad they
this
took them out in
playthrough-
3.
But it's like this current playthrough, I'm shooting for like full Paragon
Mhm.
just to see if I can do it, and to see what I imagine we're probably getting to the end, but I want
We're
to see
getting there,
how
yeah.
it shapes out if you do full, you know, if you got full Paragon, full reputation, and everything. But I've already been finding some spots where it's going to be like really hard to maintain it.
Yep.
You're not going to be able to kick the guy out the window.
Yeah.
Not going to be able to kick the guy
Or
out the
shoot
window.
the gas line with the Krogan that's
Yep.
like
Yeah.
That's
ranting
tough,
at you.
dude.
I
Can't
actually,
hang up on the elusive man. Ugh.
Oh yeah.
You actually have to leave that one reporter's face unpunched.
Oh, yeah, I
that
would
would
just
be
give
hard.
up.
That
was
would be
already
hard.
Like the first,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like I talked to her the first, the first time on the Citadel. I'm just like, oh, I want you so bad, but I'm committed to this course.
I do like how in the third one when you're talking
That's a
to her,
lot of-
she like gets away from the punch and then you just kick her
like
anyway.
Yeah, but it's like we've already talked about a couple points in 3 where I'm just like, it's gonna be so hard not doing the Renegade interrupt.
Oh, absolutely. Blue,
I
you were
kinda
about to
wanted
say
to
something?
romance-
Sorry,
But
real
then I
quick.
actually get to see some of the other stuff that might happen. You know, what happens if we do the other choice?
Yeah.
Although, like a lot of the big choices you can make in the trilogy, I usually, even my first playthrough, I was trying to go full Renegade. It's like after after talking to the crew, I'm just like, these are my people. I gotta be. I'll be good to them, but the rest of the galaxy's got to earn it.
Yeah. It's tough to go
Exactly,
full
yeah.
Renegade and then you hit Mass Effect 3 and you're like, oh, but I want to, like, you just
Yeah.
get so attached to stuff. Anyway, sorry.
One of Renegade's
Blue
bad.
has been trying to say something for a minute.
So, Leper, do you want to share what your Shepard's lore is for this playthrough you're doing?
Yeah. So we're besides going full Paragon, which I've never gotten to do. I came close this time, but there were some parts where it was just like, it just makes more sense to Renegade.
Yeah.
But so this time I'm actually playing Femshep
Excellent.
as an adept because I've never done any biotics.
Interesting.
And I had this goofy idea in my head that was like, she decided to like develop her biotic talent to go through the training and everything because she always wanted to be a magical girl. So like so it's just like the game's gonna play out the way it is, but it's like just in my head, it's like she's just fighting so hard to keep from doing like Sailor Moon poses and doing speeches about truth, about like love and justice and stuff.
Oh, Lord. We're going for like a uwu.
Yeah.
We're going for
Ooh, Shepard.
Yeah,
Jesus
it's like I
Christ.
even tried.
uwu shepherd.
There is, speaking of Uwu though, I was tempted to download it. I think next playthrough I will. But there was an Uwu Reaper mod that makes all the Reapers super cute.
Oh no!
Fucking
And I was
kidding.
very
Kawaii
tempted.
Reapers.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but that's just hilarious.
Also,
No, it would be
obviously the
hilarious.
where all the Reapers are Thomas the Tank Engine, like that's tempting.
Oh my
I've seen
God.
that one.
I've seen that one.
Oh my gosh!
Well, let's start.
Butters are a special breed.
Before we hit the end of the game, right? I am curious because there's so many real like pivotal missions and a lot of different experiences and things. Because set pieces are different. Like, Blue, we'll start with you. What stands out as like your favorite mission in the game? Just because I feel like in this game especially, like each mission felt very important in its own thing.
Yeah, and it's like a lot of them felt very different from each other. I think my favorite one was the one where you're trying to trying to save Legion from the Reapers. Like going in
Ugh.
to like the Geth mindscape, I guess you could say, trying to
Yeah.
break
Oh,
them
yes.
free from the
Yeah.
Reapers.
Very different. Yeah.
That was so cool and interesting, especially when like you're learning the history of the Quarians and the Geth, and it's like
Yes.
the actual history because it's their recording, their database is on it.
Yeah. You've always just kind of heard it from the Quarian side and to physically and to legitly see here's what happened. Yeah. That was super cool.
Yeah, it was absolutely mind blowing, and no one died during that mission.
That's good.
I'm like
Yeah.
Tachanka, no one died.
Well, and just Legion, Legion, of course, by himself, things happen, I'm sure, in most of our storylines, but, towards the end, there's this moment where, like, you're hearing everyone's voices and just hearing that Shepard Commander in my head, I was like, oh, my heart, oh, God. It's just, it's a great sound.
I love that as you're doing that mission, he goes, hey, the Geth that first picked up a weapon, he goes, isn't that the same sniper rifle you were using when we ran into each other? And he goes, it's a reliable model. Which, I don't know, I took it as being that he may have
was
been
there.
that first Geth that picked up that rifle.
Yeah. I kind of took it that same way, too, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
He has seen all of it, and that's why he's the one you see that's different because he has been there since the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah. Billy, your favorite mission?
Man, I think it's probably the Thessia mission, just because it's pretty late in the game, right? Where it's like you've been building all your forces, and like it seems like, oh man, we might actually pull this off, and then you get the Thessia, and just like it's like literal hell. Like everything's going to shit. Like the games have always presented the Asari as these like a race of ultra commando, like super powered, demigods basically. And like here they are just like getting absolutely crushed by the Reapers. Right? And it's like, wow, if they can't defend their own homeworld, like the strongest race in the whole galaxy, like what chance does anyone else have? Right? And then like we were talking about earlier, there's all like the huge lore dump from Javik that happens if you have like him and Liara in your party at the end. It's just like changes like so much of the perspective of the game. It's like I just think that was like by far like the coolest mission. There's so much going on. There's like a lot of cool like boss fights and like cool like mini bosses and stuff like that you have to fight through. It's just really well done.
And they do a great job in that mission of like, as important as your mission is, like on this planet's surface, it is such a sidebar to everything. Like to you, it's very important, but you, at the same time, you get the sense that like, no one gives a shit you're there. Like everything's going so wrong. And it's an inconvenience that Commander Shepard is trying to get help from people, Cause
they're
everything's
fighting
happening
to literally save their planet and not have their entire species go extinct, and they are literally right on the edge of that happening. And you're just like, I gotta go find a radio beacon, guys. Can you help me?
Pardon me.
Yeah.
Can you
I'm
point
sorry
me
you're
towards the
dying.
museum?
Yeah.
Rusty Poo.
Yeah.
My favorite mission was probably Tachanka.
That was my second one.
Yeah.
I really love that mission because of your interactions with Rex. The Thresher Maw Queen.
Yes. Boom.
Coming through.
So cool.
That was really cool moment. And like just like and kind of the deeper cultural significance of the Krogans, right? As you kind of explore, like, because you have the mission on Tuchanka in the second one, but really all you see is the surface and their destroyed world. But in 3, they gave them their own architecture, they gave them their own cities, and like the cave paintings, like as you kind of explore that Undercroft area where they had a culture that was there before they bombed themselves. Like I think I and honestly I find the Krogans one of the most compelling stories.
Yeah.
Because they're cool, they're well designed, and they have this society that's kind of Viking-esque, and that appeals to me. But then also where they were just like, hey, we need people to fight the Rachni, so we're gonna give you hyperspace travel. We're gonna teach you all this stuff long before you're ready for it, and it caused this cataclysmic event, and then they rebel against the society, and so they're like, the only way we can defeat them is by making sure that not enough of them are born and all their children die. Like,
Yes.
they are cool, and so being there on Tuchanka and getting to serve that, plus even though I only heard it, it's that moment where, you know, there's this character we've grown to love. I think all of us loved Morden.
Absolutely.
And seeing him make that ultimate sacrifice, and even getting like you really have to play Mass Effect 2 and do the loyalty missions and all that stuff to really understand kind of what he's going through, of like, even though he has a very analytical and scientific mind, he still feels guilty, even though he says he doesn't. Right?
And that's one thing I always I thought was interesting about Morden is like, I always got the impression that he is very scientific and analytical as like a way to like compartmentalize his guilt and things, right? He's like, okay, well, everything I do is logical and based on scientific fact, and that way I don't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I talk really fast,
I remember
there's no time to think about it.
At the last episode, I almost spoiled this Tatanka mission for you, and I remembered at the last minute. But yeah, like getting to go through the cave systems or like the city underground and like see the ruins of what Tachanka was, and be like, oh yeah, there's used to be a planet with massive cities and culture and things, and like being able to see a little bit of that was very cool.
It was really cool. The set pieces were great. The combat was fun, and then you have that moment with Morden where of course he's singing the song that everybody loves, and it's just
it had to be
so
me.
Good.
Someone else would get it
so
wrong.
Good. Yeah. Good. Really good.
Runga.
Well, before my game, screwed up on me and everything.
Mod.
Because I'm not doing mods. We're not going down there. Shut up.
Heavily modded my game. It was fine. Hey-o.
Yes, that's not the problem.
The
Tally's home mission.
Yes.
With the Geth and her. Because I love Tally. I love the interaction at the end with when you get to the end with her and Legion.
Yes.
And you guys sit, and I had enough Paragon and Renegade that I had both choices to stop them and say, like, look, shut up. I'm not letting either one of you die. And then to have Legion sacrifice himself to get the Geth on to help out the Quarians.
Yeah. To see how Tali reacts
I love
to
that mission.
Yes.
Yeah, and Tali, how she finally is like, I get it, I understand.
Well, And I love
So-
that she puts his name on that memorial
Yes.
inside the Normandy. She puts his name on there and
Yeah.
is standing there like after you leave that mission. Good.
And then of course,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, literally 1v1, well, not 1v1ing, but 1v1ing a Reaper, where it's just you
Yeah.
standing on a hillside
Yeah.
and
Yes,
all the
that was
ships are
so
lining up.
Cool.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, you're taking the Quarian fleet to destroy a Reaper.
And
yeah,
it was,
that was
being able to see the Quarian fleet in action was amazing.
Yeah.
and the whole interaction with Tali during the mission of talking
Yes.
about her being on her home world and about the house that you and her will build, you know, because I'm romancing her, stuff like, you know, I love it.
Yeah.
Mr. Real Leper,
Yeah.
Burninating in the countryside. What's your favorite mission in Mass Effect 3?
Ooh. I don't know about overall, but this time around, it would definitely be like the whole Leviathan DLC.
Oh,
Mm,
I'm going to be
one I've
talking
been
about
That
that.
was
for
good.
a long time
forgot
to
about
was
play.
Oh yeah, that was a good
I
one.
just loved how it was more like just how they captured the whole like cosmic horror vibe of it.
Yes.
And it was felt like, you know, doing like Call of Cthulhu investigations and whatnot. Well, it did kind of irritate me at the beginning, you know, when it kicked off, and they're like, "Oh, we need to track down, we need to find the, you know, the audio log or something," and it's like you're already looking right at it. It's like, don't hold my freaking hand, man. But after that, it was great, and it was like, you know, going through it, and it's just you have like the part where you're on like the mining station.
Oh yeah,
And
that was a
everybody's
good one,
just
too.
like, you should not be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the whole vibe of that whole DLC was just
Well, and
And
to add on to
chef's
the
kiss
point,
for me.
the voice
yes.
of the Leviathan.
Well, just dropping into the
Awesome.
water and just be like, well,
Oh yeah.
I hope this works. Like the whole thing is like,
Yeah, exactly.
Shepard could just die here. They just go, well, I mean, fingers crossed. Here's this thing that's been here for 50 years. Hopefully it's okay.
Yeah, let's jump into the water and hope it survives.
Oh,
I think the
felt-
one thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I felt so bad for Garrus in that moment because I was romancing him, and the entire time that we're talking about going in the suit and going in the water, he's like, "Please, Shepard, don't do it. Please don't." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I gotta do it. I'm sorry."
everything depends on me. What were you going to say, Bill?
I was gonna say I think the way they built up the Leviathan DLC of like how you're solving this mystery of like the archaeologist that disappeared and all these things. I thought the setup of it was so cool, but it was maybe it's because I played it so much farther after the game came out. But if I remember the marketing right, it's like they always marketed it as like, oh, you get to go to the Reaper homeworld. You get to see a real like what the Reapers once were. And that kind of like ruins the surprise of it, right? 'Cause,
Oh,
like
absolutely.
they build it up in game. They build it up as this mystery of like, what are these beings? What are these entities? Why are we being drawn to this planet? But
Oh, I
when
know.
you always know it's
Not
a
all the
Reaper,
marketing.
and like with like their mind control, like the Reapers have adapted this long distance mind control thing that the Leviathan species naturally had. It's like it kind of ruins the surprise, you know, where it's like if they had maybe if they had just included that in the game and you naturally discover that quest rather than have it sold to you as go to the Reaper homeworld, that would have been so much cooler. It would have been such a cool reveal.
The next thing is for me, it had been so long between when it was released and when I actually got to play it for the first time. I don't even remember it. Didn't even remember any of the marketing.
Right.
Yeah, same.
I just remember it was there, and
Yeah.
I'd heard people talking about. I'd got some videos of people talking about that DLC when they're talking about the cosmic horror aspect of Mass Effect. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm so excited. I'm so jazzed to play this.
Well,
So
and
I don't.
this brings
yeah,
us
it's like I don't remember any of that.
Yeah. Well, and this brings back to the conversation we've had a couple times where like if this DLC was just in the game at launch, it would have been like the Leviathan DLC. Everyone remembers the controversy when Mass Effect 3 first launched, right? With the ending and everything. This
Yeah.
DLC, this is my first time playing through it, and it answered every question I'd ever had about the ending of the game. To which now we'll get there in a moment, but like the end of the game this time, I was like, oh, this is good. Like I understand why this is the way it is. Whereas
It
before,
does answer
with
yeah.
none of the like no Javik, no Leviathan, like none of that stuff answering any
Golly,
questions.
no.
It makes
way.
yeah.
Try
Oh, yeah,
playing the game
ending
without
and-
any of
yeah.
that, dude. That's why everyone was pissed
It
off.
sucks
Because
That's why everybody
everything
was
that
so pissed. Yep.
lore-wise explained why it was the way it wasn't in
And
the
then
game.
the original ending. We haven't even talked about the ending yet.
Yeah, I know. We'll get there. We'll get there. But I want to talk about
man.
because that whole DLC was fun, and like that mission where you're
It was
fighting
good.
up the crumbling outpost on the side of the cliffside,
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah.
But I know that payout at the end with just that lore dump. I love lore, and that lore dump, steamy lore dump
Yeah.
on your chest was just like, oh. It answered
See, and
everything I've been having issues with for like 8 years. I was like, oh, it all makes sense now. I was like, this is amazing.
Thanks.
See, and for me as a first-time playthrough, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the DLC. The only thing that I knew from Mass Effect 3 was the ending and how everybody was mad about it. And I kind of knew, like I had seen videos with like
I
where they
just knew about the party.
Yeah.
And so,
That's the only
And-
thing about 3 I do.
and so going into that mission for me, like everything's fresh.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I don't know what is this thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it answers until I knew it was going to answer something. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously they hint at it, right? I thought it was just a rogue Reaper that somehow had disconnected itself, and because I think that's kind of what they hinted at, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and,
then when
then
it
you
comes
get down
up-
there, and it's like Clay was saying, it's an eldritch horror, just
Yeah.
ascending from the deep ocean,
Mhm.
and that voice coming into you, and it was just like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then because I've never played through the ending before, you get there and you're like, oh,
This makes
okay.
sense. Yeah.
Like, he's talking about the things that created the Reapers, and it was all set up, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I got this lore dump, so I know what's going on here, and this all makes sense with that lore that they set up, which I can't believe they released it in a state where
Without that. Yeah.
they closed that stuff behind DLC.
Yep.
I mean, it felt kind of like a DLC, so I was pretty sure it was DLC, but
It was.
there's so much lore there,
That's
and
the
like
thing,
Yeah.
And like
removing
There was
Javik and that from it.
So much
The-
critical lore in that game locked behind DLC.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
well, that
Well,
whole
yeah.
DLC is critical to the ending. And like
yeah,
that DLC literally explains why the ending is the way it is. And it just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So like I'm glad your
Yeah.
guys' first experience was that complete thing.
With that,
But at the
yeah.
same time, I'm not mad about it because like I got to go through and be like, oh my God, like it was just such like a, oh, what? Like it's such a mind flip for me. It was so cool.
yeah. So, what was your favorite? What was your favorite mission?
My favorite, I mean, obviously the Omega one was phenomenal, right? But I
Yeah.
think, and again, just because I'd never played it before, was the clone mission where like
Really?
everyone's a part of it. Like the humor's there. There's callbacks to previous stuff. Like everyone in your squad exists, has fun moments. It's just such a nostalgia trip through all of Mass Effect. And it was just, and again, as someone who's played it hundreds of times, that whole mission was just like, oh my God, my heartstrings. I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm smiling, I'm giggling.
I felt
you
like
lo-
it was very cliche that it was a clone. That was my only gripe with that mission. I was like,
Yeah,
didn't
but that
mind
was a
it
fun
being a
trope.
clone.
Yeah, this like
I
we
mean,
built a backup in case, blah blah
You-
blah.
Something
Yeah.
happened to you. Yeah.
In case
played it
Blue
as well as
Shepard
they
loses
could.
or wins.
Mhm.
Yeah.
they played it as well as they could, it being such a cliche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it was still a cliche. I was
which
like,
I'm
you
okay
could've-
with. It's
Like,
sometimes it's
could've
nice to push the push the envelope and outside the box, but sometimes it's just a cliche is fun.
I almost would have preferred like a Hush scenario where they like it was somebody taking over the identity of Shepard. Somebody who
If it was
wasn't a
Conrad?
clone.
It was Conrad Burner. Oh,
Or, something like that where it's like that. I think that could have been cool, like because obviously they would have had DNA files and things like that. So somebody almost undergoing that transformation, thinking they could then become Shepard. I like that they were like the difference between these two is like because this is Shepard.
yeah,
is the friends that he made along the way. Like they played that well.
Very well. Yeah.
You know, they didn't make it super obvious, but they're the ones who kind of pull him up off of the thing at the end. And then you see the realization of the shepherd going, I can never be him.
Yeah.
So what's the point?
It's
and like killing himself.
Emotep and a Nox and a Moon all over again.
Okay.
One just total random side note, since I mentioned Conrad Werner. I missed him in my most recent playthrough. I missed him in Mass Effect 1, so I didn't have him for the rest of the trilogy. If you don't find him in 1, he does not show up ever again.
I don't think I ran into him because I don't know
Yeah.
who you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
So I talked to him every chance I could in 1, and he never showed up in 2. And when he shows up in
weird.
2 is one of my favorite moments.
I wonder if maybe it's a bug in the Legendary
I
Edition
wonder,
then.
yeah, because like
Interesting.
I kept going back to that once, but and this is something you guys won't obviously understand, but kept going back to that one specific bar, waiting for his scene to click over. Never did.
So Russ, Conrad Werner is a character you meet throughout the trilogy, and he is like the ultimate Shepard fanboy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he's he goes and buys his own armor. He goes and buys like weapons and stuff because like he wants to be Shepard, and he's like keeps getting himself into trouble, by trying to pretending to like be like Shepard. But yeah, I wonder if that's a bug in the Legendary Edition.
I wonder.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Because I ran into
Both
him
had
in
that.
1,
That's interesting.
but I never met him in 2.
So he does this thing
wow.
in 2 where if you're like really mean to him, right? So he shows up in 2 in his own N7 armor in this bar, and he's like talking this big game and waving his gun around. And you can basically like slap him and spit on him, like, what the hell's wrong with you, dude? And he sulks off. It's a really fun sequence. I didn't get it. It makes me sad.
I feel like that actually would have been better than having a clone. If Conrad Werner
It would have been
it would have been hilarious.
So funny to have him step out of the shadows. Hello, Shepard. Oh my God, yeah. But it was really fun. Like again, as the clone, like watching the clone who's also Shepard be 3 steps ahead of everyone while you're, there's the clone Shepard, which is really smart at thinking ahead, but your Shepard is really good at thinking on the fly. So it's like those two constantly going around each other the whole time. It was super fun. And then fighting through the Normandy and like your space hamster being in the trash and like, oh no, that's too far. It was great. And the toothbrush, obviously. That whole sequence was just incredible.
I just felt like that entire mission, and then especially like the party after, was just a massive love letter to the fans.
Yes, absolutely.
It really felt like a love letter.
I didn't have a space hamster. I had the replica of the Normandy was in the trash for me.
Oh yeah, my space hamster was in there.
Same with me.
My
I had
space hamster-
replicas. I was so mad.
My space hamster was on the Normandy. I had to catch him.
Yeah.
Down where Jack was. But yeah. And also, speaking of the mission with the falling through the tank and everything, when you talk to Miranda and call her up, and she's standing there, she's like,
oh, my favorite sushi place closed.
yeah, my favorite sushi place closed. Yeah, I fell through the tank.
Yeah.
You should have been there, Miranda. You should have been there.
Well, I had when you get dropped in the what is it, the box that gets put in the wall, right? What am I thinking of? Just the storage thing and
Vault.
in the vault. Yeah. I had Garrus with me, and like the whole time the camera's panning out is just Shepard like just not caring about what was going on at all and just like talking about random stuff. And Garrus like,
should go.
do you understand what, like, we're stuck. Like, this, right? My Shepard's like, I wonder what so-and-so's up to. And Shepard really, we're going to die. Like, it was so good.
Yeah.
That's how Liara was for me.
Yeah.
When I was at that point.
Same here. Yeah.
I had Garrus and Rex, and it was hilarious because Garrus was freaking out and Rex was just joining Shepard and just having this casual conversation.
No, that is really what you sound like. I think that's who I had too. I think I had Garrus and Rex.
So
because it was
you had to.
I remember the interaction. Well, yeah.
I
had to go back because it was the same kind of interaction where they were like, "No, that is actually what you sound like." And he's like, "That is what I sound like? Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, I should go.
As long as I've known you,
I should go.
Oh,
I should go.
Is that really? Yeah. Oh my God.
Shepard, why aren't you more concerned about this?"
Well, and that's like when Rex first jumps on that ship with all the the bad guys in it. That's the moment I was like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, I see what's going on here. This is going to be a fan service thing, and I'm in for it, which is great. All right, let's go ahead, Russ.
I was just gonna say, I was just gonna mimic the line that you had earlier, where he's like, "I love you guys. Why shoot somebody once when you can shoot somebody 37 times?"
So good, so good, and everyone just poking fun at Shepard the whole time. It's just
Before
great.
we move on to the ending, can we talk about the interaction with Grunt that you can have in the DLC, where he gets
where he gets
drunk and
arrested.
goes on the
Yeah.
rampage and sets
Oh my
fire
God,
to the
that was
police
great.
car, and then he goes,
Yeah.
he goes, well, why didn't they arrest you? Because I was on fire.
You
You were
must
on
have
fire.
Come
And
on.
he was
He
like,
falls out the window. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And the fact it was the
forgot
actual
about that.
flashbacks of it and everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
they like keep
Yes.
cutting to like what actually happened. Yeah.
it's showing
Wait, it
him in
was
the
your
hospital,
birthday?
like
I
hanging
was
from the
tank
window.
friend, remember?
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Oh, Grunt, how I love thee. All right, well, in the interest of time, which is out the window, right? Let's go ahead and start moving into what a few years ago would have been a very different conversation. The ending of Mass Effect 3, right? The culmination of everything you've worked on, bringing all the war assets in Mass Effect 3 and bringing all the races together or against each other, letting people die, survive, right? Everything comes up to this giant struggle back on Earth with the Crucible.
So, first question.
Yes.
Okay, who did the blue choice?
The
did
control
the-
option.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never done the control option.
Who did the red option?
I always do the red option.
Quick question.
I didn't either.
Bluelazor, what option did you choose?
I shot the child.
Oh, I've done that too.
That's
Also
like the
a good
neutral
option.
choice, right?
Well, what
Did it bring
happens?
more
That's
than
the
back,
really
Blue?
bad
Explain
ending.
exactly what happens the second you shoot the child.
Okay, so let me backtrack. real
Yes,
quick
please
to my
do.
Thought process. We're gonna go back to when Morden died.
Yes.
And, when I talked about the dream, and my brain went, "If I kill the child, Morden will come back."
The
The
seed
entire
was sowed.
time through the game, I'm like trying to catch this child in my dreams so I can kill him. And then I get to the end, right? The child is standing there, and I have a gun. And I was like, I gotta know if the game will finally let me do this. So I shot the child, and immediately a cutscene starts, and the child has this deep voice and goes, "So be it." Walks away and goes, "The cycle will continue." And I'm like, oh crap.
Oh shit! What did I do?
And the fact that the very next scene, there's no like slow buildup. It's just like the cycle continues, the child walks off, and then it pans out to the recording of Liara, like 50,000
Yep.
years in the future, going, "We failed. Please use these tools to maybe help you guys fight in the next
dang.
cycle."
Yeah.
Better
It's
for
just
you.
like, it's just this immediate like, game over. Everything was failed.
Yeah.
You lost.
There's no speech, there's nothing. It's just immediate to Liara going, "We lost. We got all this, and it
Wow.
wasn't enough."
The
And we
fact
get
out.
credits. That's it.
the fact that the developers know gamers so well to be like, we're going to add a secret choice in case you decide to shoot this kid in the head because we know
Well,
what
from
gamers
what I-
are like.
From what I understand, that was not in the original edition.
I'm
believe
pretty sure it was.
No, it was because I
Yeah.
also tried that like
Yeah,
immediately.
it was in
on
the-
my
Yeah,
first
yeah, yeah.
playthrough.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened with the destroy choice?
The Reapers blow up, and it destroys the Reapers, but it also destroys all the mass relays.
Right.
So
Doesn't it also destroy Edie and the Geth?
Yes.
it's kind of vague.
Ish.
It's-
Yeah.
I think it did. I think it
Kind
does.
of
it
all
vague.
synthetic life.
destroys all synthetic life.
Yes.
That's what he says. That's why I didn't
you're
choose
even
it.
partly. You're even partly synthetic, Shepard. So
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah,
if you have the like 100% war thing, you get the cutscene at the end that shows you still alive, right?
Correct.
So
yeah.
Wait, you
I-
get the
So if
that
you,
Shepard is still alive?
the air quotes perfect ending, right? If you get war assets almost all the way up, do certain things correct, there is an
Sure.
ending where the Reapers blow up, right? You're in the rubble, And at the very end scene is like your chest starts breathing again, and then it rolls credits.
See, I had 100%. My bar was full when I going into that final mission.
Mine was not.
Now,
I mean, it wasn't
Mine
far
wasn't either.
off, but it was close. It was like
did
If there was much, I think I had that much left.
did
Like,
anybody
what
walk
you
into
could
the
see.
middle?
oh, can you do that?
You sure can.
That's
I keep forgetting that's a thing.
the combine option, right?
That's the combine option where
Yeah.
it turns
synthesis. Yeah.
synthesis, where all life becomes half organic, half synthetic.
Which is
Oh.
stupid. That is the stupidest option because it comes out of absolutely fucking nowhere.
I
like,
I did
how
that
does
one
that
on
even
accident
work?
my first time because
Right,
I was
they
just
don't
looking
explain
at the
it.
beam. I was like, "Oh, this is really pretty." Cutscene started,
Ooh,
and I was
shiny.
like, "What the hell just happened?"
Yeah, no, that option makes no fucking sense because it's never that possibility is never presented to you at any point in the trilogy except at the very very end of the final game.
Which I kind of dig because again, like you don't know anything about what the Crucible is, and like, especially again with the Leviathan DLC where they explain very heavily, where obviously the Reapers are the Leviathan's Geth, right? Every cycle
Yeah.
has had the robot race that can go too far, and that's what the Reapers essentially started as, is the Geth of their generation, right? And so they really put into effect that like the only way to they're just trying to find the solution, right? What is the way to fix this problem besides just slaughtering everything every 50,000 years? So I dig that there was, I get where you're coming from, but I dig there was this like accidental other thing where that you literally stumble into that kind of like is another solution to the problem.
So
But
everybody
It's not a great
becomes
solution, but it is a solution.
Correct.
But they never it's never even seen as a possibility, and it's never explained how it's even possible. Like what is happening across the entire galaxy that allows organic and synthetic life to merge?
Well, that's what Shepard is, really.
But he went through like a process. Like he was rebuilt using tools and machinery and implants and stuff, right? Like it wasn't just like space magic happened and now everyone's half robot and now Shepard's half robot, right? It's like
well, I mean, I guess you have.
did I miss something in one of the DLCs? Because like at least from my memory, it's never explained how that's even possible.
No, and that is
Other
true.
than that it's just presented at the end as like, oh yeah, you can also do this secret third thing.
Yeah, which again, which is just me. Like I totally get where you're coming from, but just me, I like the fact that it's just like, oh, this thing can kind of. I fall into the like, oh, it's sci-fi and weird shit just happens, but that's me. Right?
You know what, Fudd? This podcast is stupid and you're stupid.
I agree. All right, everyone, have a nice night. I'm gonna stop streaming now.
Bye.
Oh,
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
So with the control option, you basically become God. Is
Yes.
essentially what happens. It's kind of interesting in the aspect of like okay, like you can see that progression of now he's ascended, and like if you play mostly Paragon, I did mostly Paragon. I had a little bit of Renegade in there. I like.
oh,
to
this
kick
is all
people
just
out
your
of
god
windows and
complex
shoot
coming
first.
into play, Russ.
I mean, it was fine enough. Like they played it well enough to where he's kind of this guardian, but it's also kind of like terrifying because he has become guardian, and it's like, boy, gosh, do people have any free will? Like it kind of glosses over, like it shows him helping rebuild everything, but then like you kind of start to scratch at that surface, and you're like, ooh, like
Well,
what if
I
people go to
think-
war? Does he stop them from going to war?
I think I've never chosen it, but it does lead to like a lot of interesting questions where it's like, obviously, if the elusive man had been given that opportunity, he would have taken control, and he would have been, an authoritarian,
Right.
god of the galaxy, basically. But that option can be given to Shepard, who is not like that, and it's like, okay, well now you do have this benevolent presence that is behind the scenes, possibly controlling everything. So
Right.
It's
But even if something's benevolent and still controlling, like
Sure.
that seems like
which is, I think,
Well,
I think that's why a lot of people don't choose that option, because it does go against almost everything that Shepard, the way most people play Shepard and the way most people understand how the galaxy is working at that point and how the culture of the galaxy works at that point.
What are you trying to say, Leper? Sorry.
Well, because it's like control's usually the option I wind up picking.
Okay.
So, and I don't know if maybe I'm just kind of slow about some of this stuff, so it hasn't quite clicked. But I've never really seen it as Shepard necessarily becoming a god and taking control of everything. It just seemed like he was just taking control of the Reapers.
Yeah, that's
and everybody else seemed to be left to their own devices.
But the Reapers are so technologically advanced, and there are so many of them that he can literally become an omnipresent guardian. Like that, I mean, yeah, he does only gain control of the Reapers, but in essence, he becomes a god in that he has these vastly superior technologically advanced creatures at his bidding that are all combined in like a hive mind neural network that he can control absolutely. Like, that's godlike.
Yeah.
He's an omnipresent, omniscient individual.
So if him taking over the place of the child makes him a god, are you saying that I killed a god?
Yeah.
No, because he doesn't. It's different.
I'm amazing.
The child kind of controls the Reapers, but it doesn't seem like in the same way. Like he takes the place of the child, but it's also supposed to be like a reinstitution of the cycle of like the cycle is broken now, and it could just be because he's more benevolent than the child was. But it is. I don't know. I viewed it a little bit differently than what the child was and what Shepard became. But there's also the fact that he's disconnected from, like, that's what the child says. You'll become disconnected from what you were before. You'll retain all your memories, but you'll no longer be human and you'll be disconnected from humanity, which also, like, sends some red flags in my head going, that's terrifying.
Well, it's like, that's kind of interesting because, like, all the options have, like, the red flags because it's like, seeing it, because the thing is like I'm usually doing playthroughs where I wind up bringing like kind of bringing the Quarian and the Geth back together. The Geth are like fully realized AI, and then it's like you also spend a good chunk of Mass Effect 3, like, or at least I usually do, encouraging the relationship between Joker and Edie. So it's like you get to that point, and I'm like going through all that, giving
just to kill
giving the Geth full, sentience and everything just to kill them off. I'm like, that just
it doesn't ring true for the move.
Very counterproductive.
At the same time, going to Russell's point, and something I was even thinking about after this playthrough is, you're taking the control option. You kind of become disconnected from everything you are, even if you retain the memories. So it's like I kind of looked at it as like you're basically becoming data. And as I've learned a lot working my current job, data can become corrupted, and it screws things up can screw things up pretty bad.
Oh yeah.
And going with Russell's point and everything, screwed up data controlling a bunch of Reapers is a bit of a different, much bigger scale problem than corrupted data on something that's just controlling your HVAC system.
Right. Well, and that's what I like with how this ending works is there's not one option that doesn't have there's not one option that isn't
they're all gray.
This is good, but it's also really bad for this reason. Like when the moment is in front of you of like your decision decides the fate of everybody, that's not an easy decision to make.
No,
and like I like how they make it like, there's no perfect way. Like I can really screw this up, I do wish.
And it's like,
oh, go ahead.
But then it's like also, this is something that the child brings up when he's presenting the choices when talking about control. It's like, or as Shepard does, it's like you take the control ending. You're also kind of proving the elusive man right. Yeah, in a way. Yeah. When you spend like the entirety of the third game going F that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, after I beat the game, I started watching videos of people talking about the other endings, just to know what the other endings are and what like people seem to think of it. And there's this one guy, I can't remember the channel's name, but he was talking about how the destroy ending in his point of view was the correct ending to the
You
game.
could draw conclusions for that for
Yeah.
all of them, I feel like.
And-
Sorry. I know.
Sorry. So, like, the points he put up that I found very interesting was that the other two endings, aside from the one that I took, we're not talking about that one, was Control and the Synthesize. He's like, those ones are both references to bosses of the past two games, Saren and the Elusive Man. He's
Saren
like,
is Synthesis.
both of them were indoctrinated. And he's like, the only
Exactly.
one that references someone else in the game is the Destroy one, referencing Anderson, and he was never indoctrinated. And he's like, and another point you got to consider is you go through all this work getting the Geth to be their own thing, to be individuals. You help Edie, come to terms with how she is now and her personality and all that. And he's like, but you do have to take into consideration, even though this option destroys them, it's like they are putting their lives on the line just as much as any other race, and you can't choose to control the Reapers just to save them. They should be on the line just as much as all the other races are. And it's like, if you
That's
do
really
control,
good.
you're putting everyone in danger, whereas destroy, it's like, yes, you're wiping out the Geth, but you're saving everyone else. And
Yeah.
and it's like, he pointed out that there's many times when you talk to Edie throughout the games that it's like, that is what she would want. She would absolutely be okay with you taking the destroy option.
Well, and here's the thing too, though. Like, according to the logic of the Reapers, their whole thing was eventually there's going to be a war between synthetic and organic. And so by destroying the Reapers, are you just setting it up so that at some point in the future, a new species similar to the Reapers is going to step into those shoes and fulfill that role?
Well, it's like the Geth were setting up that way, but you helped them. You helped them shape out to be better and to be independent.
But if you hadn't been there, they would have gone the same way as the Reapers.
Correct, which is the whole point of the Reapers. Like, the Reapers were
Right.
that first, the Leviathans, like, they were their Geth,
Yeah.
I do wish there was an option, like, if you went through all the effort to, like, really help Edie figure things out and, do everything with the Geth where they have themselves figured out and they're with the Quarians and
Sure.
stuff, like, because the whole point of the Reapers was this, like, we need to find a way to break the cycle because, it persists where someone makes the robot race tries to kill everyone, right? But you've already broken that cycle in Mass Effect 3 if you go down that path. I wish there was a way to have that as kind of one of the options too, to like show, hey, we've already broken that part of the cycle.
Right,
Like,
and that's something you can say to the Star Child too, is like, I've resolved the conflict between the Geth and the Quarians.
yeah, but he just kind of like throws that
But I
out
think-
immediately with
Stop,
no.
yeah.
Right.
But that's just like the immediate solution. Since the Reapers have been part of like this endless cycle every 50,000 years, they've probably got more long form thinking. So it's like, you don't know if so many thousand years down the line, things are just going to pick right up again.
Yeah.
But to Elmer's point, it could be something where you convince them, in essence,
Right.
why does it have to be every 50,000 years? Give it
Yeah.
another 10,000 years. If things have fallen apart, come back. I mean, keep an eye on things. But you could prove a fallacy in their argument that may
Yeah,
give
kind of
you
twist
another
things
ending.
out. Yeah, yeah. would be
Right.
really
Yeah.
cool.
The Star Child doesn't even give you the opportunity to defend what you've done.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
It just like it
Yeah.
automatically assumes that it is right, and that's the whole thing, is that it's a corrupt AI. It is not logical in every decision it's made.
No.
Which is
And
why this is
every-
the choice it has. Yeah.
Right, which is like the way it reached its conclusion is not necessarily without flaw. It's just that like based on its own experience, that's where it came, was develop the Reapers and wipe out life every 50,000 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's why I do always choose the destroy option, is because like leaving something like the Reapers to exist is just too dangerous, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like my view and the way I usually play Shepard is that like the galaxy is better off being left to its own devices, whether that means we destroy ourselves with robots or not.
Yeah.
It's like
If it happens,
if it happens, it happens, but that is not up to the Star Child and a bunch of giant intergalactic robots to decide.
yeah.
If
It-
I were making the choice for myself, I would probably choose the destroy option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do laugh every time when you first get to the child, right? And you're like, what are you here to try to stop? And he goes, chaos. And you're like, what the fuck is all this?
Yeah.
Like,
So
what do you mean?
This is order?
Yeah,
the
this
reason
isn't
I don't
chaos.
fully believe that choosing the destroy option really is the end of Edie and the Geth and Shepard is that, at least because they changed the ending of the game, the original ending of the game, if you pick the destroy option, it shows all the Reapers destroying and it shows all the mass relays being destroyed, and that's it. Like cut the scene, cut to black. With the remade ending that they came out with a few months later and that's now in the Legendary Edition, you can't even play the original ending anymore. Is that it shows the Reapers being destroyed, it shows the mass relays being destroyed, but then it has additional scenes afterwards that are being narrated, I think, by Anderson or Hackett, where he's like, yeah, like, there was all this destruction caused by the Reaper, by Shepard's choice, but we're rebuilding. We're repairing the mass relays. We're finding ways to reconnect with and communicate with societies and groups beyond our immediate star systems because the mass relays were destroyed and, they were supporting long distance communication, all that thing. So, yeah, the Star Child tells you, well, if you pick this option, then the Galactic Society's fucked because the mass relays get destroyed. But then in the next scene, it shows, well, no, actually, we're rebuilding them.
Well, he says eventually they'll rebuild. When he's talking and he talks about the destroy ending, he says
that was added.
It'll initially destroy every synthetic.
Well, again,
people will rebuild.
Sure, but that was added right after the fan backlash.
Sure.
All the additional content, of all these scenes showing that it is possible to rebuild, and that I think proved the Star Child was wrong. The AI was wrong, right? It had reached this conclusion that life and like organic synthetics cannot coexist. The only way to be sure is to either wipe out organics or wipe out synthetic or wipe out organic life. But the alliance, the resolution of the conflict between the Geth and the Quarians proves the Star Child wrong, and then the ability, the fact that the galactic civilization is able to begin rebuilding the mass relays so quickly also proves the Star Child wrong.
Yeah.
In my mind, right, is like I don't believe what the Star Child is saying, because there is too much evidence that has been shown throughout the series that proves that it is wrong.
Yeah,
and the conclusion it reached is flawed.
And that's part of what Mass Effect has been the whole time, is like, this is what we're going against. And it's like, I mean, yeah, it's in the writing of everything. The Reapers aren't correct. Like, this is just the conclusion they've reached. That doesn't mean they're right, which I dig. Like, it's this, you have the decision making of, humanity and whatever's happening there going against this flawed decision making of what came before. Like,
and that
I dig that it's not just like, no, we are correct, and you need to figure out a way around that. Like, you're fighting against what's already a flawed logic by something that just happens to be bigger and badder. Like,
and I think that's what led to so much of the backlash when that original ending was, when the game originally came out, is that like you have all these nuanced stories and all these nuanced conflicts going on, and at the very last second possible, it is boiled down to three options that are very black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two options that are very black and white, and then a third option where you have no fucking idea what it's talking about and what the consequences are.
So I have a question because you brought up Anderson. Does he have to die? Because he died in my playthrough.
Oh, that's right. Anderson does die. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It must have been Hackett then. It must be
It's
Hackett.
probably
that I'm thinking
Hackett.
of. Okay.
Did anybody see the after credit scene? The super creepy after credit scene with it's the people it's the two people in a forest on some moon.
Oh yeah.
And the grandpa is like, "Don't worry, my sweet."
Yeah.
And the kid's like, "Tell me another story of the shepherd." And it is.
Yeah, I did.
I've never understood really what that's supposed to mean.
In a game that is so well voice acted, the scenes are so well put together. It is so jarring to watch that scene at the very end. The dialogue is terrible. The voice acting is awful.
So
it's not even.
I think the grandpa was voiced by like one of the. I don't know if he was voiced by one of like the original astronauts that made it to the moon, or
the old man is voiced by Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I mean that's cool.
The last living member of Apollo 11, the first mission to the moon.
Yeah. He's been on TV a bunch. He should have better voice acting skills.
Yeah,
Imagine
right.
calling
Yeah.
a
Oh, yeah.
legend
The
appalling.
90-year-old astronaut isn't a good voice actor. What are you talking about? Come on.
Well, he should be. He's had practice. he comes from the radio days, son.
Yeah.
But why, my sweet? Like that's the worst.
Right. It's still a really bad line. It's not written well.
No, for
Yeah.
sure. I always
it's a
forget
bad
about
line
that.
that's not delivered well. Yeah. I mean, like, I get what it's going. I think I get what it's going for. It's like, oh, after everything that's happened, like, the Reapers and Shepard become a legend, right? Like, literally a mythical legend that you tell to your children at night, which is kind of cool. But again, it's like, why?
It didn't need to be
that was
there.
a kid's nightmares.
It doesn't really add anything. Yeah.
Anyway, the future aliens, space robots will get you at night, Jimmy. Yeah.
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 I
You wanna
mean,
say
that's
something, Blue?
basically how it is with my ending, you know?
Yeah.
I was so confused during the whole ending credits thing because I was like, this makes no sense with the ending that I got.
Well,
Zero sense.
Life still cycles back around. Like the Reapers, you know, they only kill the advance. They leave everybody else alone. So I guess in that instance, I guess it makes
whatever's
some
next is whatever was primitive to us.
Yeah.
The little monkey guys on that planet Mass Effect 1, they're going to be in charge of the Citadel in the next 50,000 years.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. We got to figure it out.
We got Planet of the Apes with the Citadel.
Yeah, I like that.
Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape.
Well, let's go ahead because we've been rocking and rolling. By the way, I want to say that like Mass Effect 1 and 2 were great discussions, right? But we never had so many people talking over each other as we did in this one, and that's a good thing because everyone was so we all did it, and it was awesome because everyone was just like it was just it was fantastic.
Shut up! Let me get my point across.
Well, Bluelazor, right? Let's start around with you. I want to hear, especially you're a BioWare person. You mostly Dragon Age, right? Inquisition, one of your favorites, right?
Yeah.
Your overall thoughts of playing through the Mass Effect series, right? Just like as a gamer, experiencing that BioWare world, and then all your socials and stuff after.
Oh yeah, sure.
Wait.
Hey, it is my time to shine, sir. Zip it.
I just had one question to add before we close out.
Well, let's ask it when we get to you. How's that?
No, he can ask his question.
Okay.
It's fine.
Right, go ahead, Russ.
He'll add another 5 hours to it to ask his question.
Just in addition, as everybody's giving their, the question that you asked, which I've already forgotten, so you'll have to remind me when it gets to me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We've heard rumblings of Mass Effect 4, and that there's a possibility. If they continue with the story, which ending option, do you think they'll make canon?
I've always thought it would be destroy because it's the only
destroy,
one.
definitely.
It's the only one that doesn't leave too many questions.
And it's the only one that allows Shepard to
to live.
continue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good.
Great addition.
All right. So, I mean, I really enjoyed Mass Effect. It definitely felt like it's one of those series that it's like it felt like going through the history of gaming
Yes.
because each one was so different in a gameplay style and a graphics. It's like it really felt like you were going through the history of gaming. Not as dramatic as, like the really old ones like Mario and them, but it did have that vibe to it, and I really enjoyed it. And it was like when we reached the third game, it definitely felt more like Inquisition in regards to gameplay. So it's like I'm playing through it and I'm like, oh, I can see where like this thing inspired Inquisition and this inspired like what they did here. So it's like I am excited to play Dragon Age, like all the Dragon Age games, because so far I've only done Inquisition. But I will say, in regards to sci-fi in general, I will say this, I think Mass Effect is my favorite sci-fi.
Let's go.
Like, I think it has blown Star Wars and Star Trek out of the water in my book.
I respect that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it
huge.
is really
That's a
good.
massive take. Yeah.
It's a bold statement.
That's awesome.
I know, they're going to skin me alive when they hear this. Those fans are brutal. So, on that note, if you wish to skin me alive,
Well played.
you can find me over on twitch.tv/Bluelazor. It's Lazor because I don't know how to spell. I am also on Twitter. It's Bluelazor Gaming. There's also YouTube. Just look up Bluelazor spelled the same way. You'll find me there. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Come get me. Come at me, bro.
Do it. All her
Is
links
laser
will be
not-
in the description.
Is laser not meant to be spelled with an O?
I'm pretty sure it is from Cheat Commandos. I'm pretty sure that's how it's spelled, right?
No, they do SER
Oh, okay.
in Cheat Commandos. It's
I like yours
SER.
better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
like
I
it
like
too.
ZOR. I think that should be the way it's spelled.
It's very snazzy.
Yeah, I like
It
it a
is.
lot. Billy,
Lazor.
I mean, you're someone who's played through it numerous times. Your thoughts and feelings as it continues to obviously have a place in your heart because you keep playing it, and then where people can find you, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope that 4 does eventually come out and that it's good. But yeah, the 2 and 3 are definitely up there as some of my favorite games of all time. Obviously, I know way too much about it and can go on and on and on and keep interrupting people. Because I've played through every quest and every side mission a million times. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite games of all time. I think one thing that I really appreciate about them is how well they still hold up. Even because even with the Legendary Edition, it didn't change the game mechanics that much. And I am not a fan of going back and replaying really old games usually. The changes in the improvements in game mechanics and UI and stuff like that. I've always had a hard time going back and replaying old games after a certain point because they're just my brain doesn't work that way anymore. Things have improved and progressed too much. But Mass Effect, every time I go back to Mass Effect, even 1, it's like I still have a good time with it, and I can forgive or work through the things that usually turn me off from old games just because I enjoy the story and the characters. And once you get to 2 and 3, that kind of goes away anyways. But yeah, and yeah, same thing as always. You can usually just find me in Fuzz Discord talking shit to people. So
Hell yeah, baby. Rusty Poo, my man, dude. You're also first playthrough.
Jumping over to me.
Absolutely, man. Your first playthrough of the entire trilogy.
Yeah.
Overall thoughts, man.
Overall thoughts of the trilogy. The story is one of the strongest I've seen in gaming. Or none. The only things that I can think of that might edge it out are God of War, God of War Ragnarok, Red Dead Redemption 2. But even then, like the choices, one of the things that I absolutely love about Mass Effect, and I really hope that they continue it with Mass Effect 4, is how each choice impacts the next game. It all builds off of one another, so there's consequences to the choices that you make that are far-reaching. It's one of the reasons I love the Dresden Files, right? And as a writer, I love that aspect of character makes a choice. It'll have minor consequences now, but you really don't see those consequences until later.
Yeah.
And how each playthrough is incredibly different. The game mechanics, other than the third one, rough, buddy. They're rough. The first one drove me absolutely batty, just having to land on each individual planet to then roam around to find a quick thing, run in, do the mission, and then jump off of the planet. Like, it was a waste of time in essence to me. It's rough. I'm gonna have a hard time going back to the first one, but I want to replay through it. I don't know if I want to do it right now.
No.
That's a major time commitment. There are other games that I want to play that I've kind of put on the back burner until I finish this trilogy. But I'm glad that you finally talked me into and that I finally committed to playing this game, because I don't think I would have regretted missing out on this story.
Yes.
It is a good story. There are some things that I wish they had done. Like in that last mission, I kind of wish they had the same stakes and the same feel as the second ending mission. The second ending mission is probably the best mission in the entire franchise, in my mind. I am so sorry. I'm very distracted at the moment.
Yeah, I know exactly what's going on.
So I think that I wish the third one had maybe been a little stronger in some of those aspects.
Yeah.
But it is a story that was so well told, and the characters, the side characters, are what make it, or what sell it. Like, Shepard is an okay protagonist. It is the characters along the way that really make the story, and I think they know that, right?
Yeah.
You can see that in the DLC, and you can see how that is impacted. So overall, fantastic. I'm excited for 4. Like, I think that is gonna if they do it right and they make it good, right? Like Bill said, it's gonna be amazing. And I really hope that they can just capture that, carry it forward, because it's a great trilogy. It's worth playing through. Like,
Amen.
For me, I had a hard time, like Bill said, right? Sometimes it's hard to go back to old games. But it is worth playing through just to get that story.
Hell yeah. I'm really glad you got to finally play this. Again, I've known you almost my whole life, and to have you finally experience this, it makes me happy.
That's DRJEX, that's JEX 90. And you can, eventually you'll be able to find me on TikTok. But
Eventually. Runga, my man. Spoiler alert, same thing.
Wow, I didn't expect that question.
As another guy who's
I'm
played it numerous times.
Yes, this is like I'm like Bill. I can't really go back and play old games because I'll sit down like I want to do it and then I start playing it and I'm just like I can't finish this. My brain's like I'm used to newer stuff now. Being in IT, I'm used to change. I'm used to playing with newer stuff, dealing with newer stuff. This is one trilogy I can go back and play once I slog through 1, and can get to 2 and go to 3. I'm good, but I love this. This is one of my favorite trilogies. I can install it, go back, play through it anytime when I have the time to dedicate to it.
We
Where
lost
can
our-
we
we
find
lost our
you,
host.
Gator?
we lost
Everybody,
our host. Yeah, where
How
can we
about-
find you?
Discord, just find me in Discord. I'm about every Discord you can imagine, and not hard to find. Just tag
You're
me.
mod
You'll
in
find me.
almost all of them.
Almost all of them. Yep. I'm fine with not being a mod in every Discord. Trust me. There's some days I'm like, nope, I don't want to do this. Y'all handle it. I'm out.
I'm done. Bye.
Yeah. So,
All right, Leper,
your
All
turn.
right.
you're up.
Whew. Well, I guess I'm kind of the odd one out because I have no problem going back to old games. I mean, I finished Mass Effect 3 and start play through the whole trilogy the next day. That's got to say something. Either that or I'm addicted.
I'm gonna go with that.
Probably
I don't know
both.
which.
I'll go
Yeah,
with both.
probably both.
Yeah.
All of the above. Both is good.
Both is good.
Yeah. But Mass Effect has definitely been one of my favorite experiences in gaming. And it's one that can just kind of keep repeating, and it's always it feels like it's always fresh every time. I guess especially after you give it a decade to sit. But
It has a replayability that's really easy to go back to over and over.
Yeah.
heavy replayability, especially because I'm starting a new one. It's just like, oh, what happens if I go full Paragon instead of the blend like I usually do? And can I do it?
Yeah.
And it's like just doing it all, just trying to do it that way, and like even just changing the gender of the protagonist in game just really changes the experience too.
Yeah.
There's like, after doing three playthroughs as male Shep, it's like this one, it's like you go in a little ways and you're already getting hit on a lot more.
Yeah.
And somehow, and it's like somehow being fem Shep harkens even worse.
FemShep is amazing though. That voice acting is incredible.
Oh yeah.
She
Yeah.
is.
Really cool. Well, are you anywhere people can find you besides in their hearts?
Just on the very small handful of Discords that I'm on. I'm probably the most active on yours, actually.
And that's saying something. Because you
Yeah,
post like
yeah,
once
that's
every
saying
3 months.
something, 'cause I'm more like, I'm more of a lurker. There's other ones where, but it's like there's other ones that I'm on. It's like they have there's a constant chatter, and a lot of them are like way smarter than I am. So I just get completely lost in what they're saying.
Yeah, it's easy to do that.
It's like I feel like a caveman trying to follow an MIT lecture or something.
I do good.
Me word, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as for me, obviously anyone who knows me at all is well aware that Mass Effect, I'm obsessed, and it's my favorite gaming series of all time. Mass Effect 2 is my second favorite game, period. End of discussion. Like, obsessed with Mass Effect. 2 of my animals are named after squad mates in Mass Effect. Like, it's my life. I bleed it injected in my veins. Thank you very much. And I can't wait to play through it again next year. Also, thank you, Legendary Edition. You've just made it so. Mass Effect 1 was something I always struggled to get through, and the Legendary Edition, I thoroughly enjoyed my playthrough through Mass Effect 1 this time, and I'm not dreading it this next time. I'm actually very excited. Also, EA, please don't put your hands in games like you did in Mass Effect 3. That was a lot of problems because of you. Thank you. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
EA, just stop being you.
Yeah, just stop.
Yeah. Just stop being you.
EA's hand. Get out of the game. Well, thanks everyone for joining us for episode 125 of Just Some Gamers. We do the show. We're live. Twitch.tv/ELMMERFUDD Games. Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern. We are on all the podcatchers everywhere. Please check us out. Next episode, I'm not sure what we're doing. I think we're talking Warhammer, or I think we're doing Space Marines too. I think we're doing our review of that next episode. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Well, that's from ELMMERFUDD. You can find me Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all those places at ELMMERFUDD Games. M-D. Russell's not here to take us out because his wife seduced him, and I respect the hell out of that. Runga, do you know how to take us out?
No,
Okay.
I do not remember. I'm
Join us
terrible.
next
Sorry.
week on Just Some Gamers for mutual chaos and utter incompetency. I kind of want to put like because I hear it in my sleep, I want to put hack it out. Just that right.